Do you find it difficult to detach yourself from men? Isn't it frustrating to try your best to not be so overly invested in a man, only to end up going crazy once again? Well, what if I told you it's possible to date men and also have romantic relationships with while staying detached? If that doesn't make a lot of sense to you, join me on today's show where we'll be discussing the full guide to detachment from men and their love. That way you can stop over investing in men who don't care and finally receive investment from men who actually do care. Okay? Welcome to the show. If you're paying attention to me and everyone else in the live stream, please say here present so that I know you're here present and actively participating. Why do I look so much taller today? Maybe I got to move that up. Anyways, whatever. You get the gist. I'm a tall guy. All right. How are you all doing here today? Someone says perfect timing. Welcome, SK Zyra. I see Ali here. Go Plants is here. Welcome, one of our most generous donators. Lena Leak is here. Zyra is here. Francis is here. Gabriella is here. Mary is here. Jar is here. Or Jars? Jars? Yas? Okay. Welcome all you beautiful people in our TikTok chat. Who we got over in the YouTube chat? I see Mary Kim is here. Barry is here. Lemon is here. Justice Liberty is here. Andrea is here. T is here. I know Tracy Niles, one of our amazing channel members, was here, like one of the very first people here. Nicole Cotton, one of our amazing channel members, is here. Deb, one of our amazing channel members, here. Ruth, I see here. T here. Jazz here. And of course, we have Missy America. Ooh, shout out Henya, one of our channel members as well. And Missy America is holding down our YouTube chat. Okay, let's get started with our first point of the day. Okay. Very, very important point. How was your weekend? Chitty chat. Had lots and lots to do this weekend. Chat, I am a very, very busy man nowadays. Okay, let's hop into our first point of the day that I want us to be on the same page about. Now, I'm going to kind of break down exactly what we're trying to do here, because even though it's about detachment, we're not creating a scenario in which love doesn't exist inside you. We just want to make sure that we manage things, okay? So let me start off by drawing up our first, little bit of a visual here. So I can draw 4 here. Okay, so our first point is about hard limits. Now, what are the hard limits that I want you to be paying attention to if you're going to properly detach? See, something very interesting will happen to you when you begin dating, especially when you're dating someone that you like a lot. You have particular schedule, let's just say, in your week. You have time blocked off for, let's say, your personal life, like working out, taking care of personal things, family, friends, all that good stuff. You also have things blocked off for like work and responsibilities, whatever the case may be, school, however you want to break that down. So there's going to be like a certain portion of your day that's pretty much blocked off at the same times of the week, because you have to do those certain things at those specific certain times. Now, each one of these days, even though you have responsibilities, right? We'll put R here for responsibilities. Each one of these days is going to be a little bit of, we can call leftover time, right? And I'm going to explain to you why this can be a really dangerous time in your life when you're dating, and what we kind of want to reverse here. See, this leftover time, we'll call this the F here, right? This leftover time is free time, where you can kind of choose your own destination, so to speak, like in a video game. You can decide for yourself, what do you want to do at this time? Do you want to hang out with friends? Do you want to take some personal time, like take a bubble bath, take care of your skin, just relax? Do you want to watch Netflix? What do you want to do with this free block of time? Now, when you start dating men, one of the traps you'll fall into is, see, when you like this guy and this guy likes you, it's very easy for men to say, well, I don't want to wait to get to know you. I want to get to know you as soon as possible, very, very quickly, in very, very rapid succession, so to speak. And so they'll say, well, can we hang out on Monday? You'll be like, yeah, sure. I got time to hang out on Monday. So you guys go out on a date on Monday. Then he's like, yeah, I like you so much. Let's go out again on Tuesday. Then you're like, okay, this guy's really, really eager. I like that. Okay, he's really knows what he wants. Then on Tuesday, after the date, you guys have another great one. He's like, yeah, let's go out again on Thursday. I can't wait too long to see you again. And you're like, okay, sure. But this is the dangerous part about this. If you don't set hard limits. See, these men will very quickly take up all of your time. And you might be thinking, well, Tomisin, you want me to date a guy who doesn't want to spend a lot of time with me? That doesn't really make a lot of sense. I thought you want me with men who are intentional and know that they want to be with me. I do. However, this can be a situation where you'll become overly invested in this man, and you won't properly be able to detach yourself to do what I want you to do, which is be observant and be evaluating who he really is. See, similar to love bombing and similar to going on a marathon date, which we talked about in other shows, this can happen where a man will take up all of your time throughout the week. And without you even realizing it, you'll spend majority of these free blocks just with him. The problem is, you've now created a scenario where, let's say you only have 100% of your free time. And of that 100% of your free time, very quickly, you've just created a scenario in which, let's say, this guy is now taking up 90% of your free time. Meaning that of the 100% that you have choices to go out with friends, take care of yourself, have a bubble bath, watch Netflix, 90% of that free time where you can make any decision is being spent with this guy. But you want to know what that does to your psyche? It creates a scenario where now you feel like, well, he's kind of like my entire life. I've gone from spending no time with a guy to spending all week with a guy, every single day with a guy, and now I kind of am slowly, or quickly I should say, forgetting what life is like when he's not around. This creates a scenario in which now you become overly invested in the idea of him just being there and being present in your life because you don't even know what it looks like anymore to have free time. All you end up knowing very quickly is I go to work and I have school or whatever the case may be, my responsibilities. And then as soon as I finish that, I go right to hanging out and spending time with him. And I go right to a stage where I get right into, a mentality where I only understand my life and my week as it exists with just doing what I need to do and accomplish and then going and spending the rest of my time with him. Now you become so invested in this situation very quickly that you forget that you're supposed to be evaluating and you're supposed to be analyzing things, and you just get into this habit of being with him and being around him every single day of the week. Okay, right? I don't want that for you. Francis says, it's like our lives revolve around men we go through a lot. Exactly. I don't want your life to revolve around a man, especially not in quick succession, okay? So what must you do? I should say, right, before I even erase this, what must you do in order to set hard limits? Well, you cannot, under any circumstances, allow a man to take up a majority of your week, especially from the very beginning. The reason I want you detached and the reason I want you to set hard limits is because I don't want you to create a habit out of seeing him and spending 100% of your free time with him. You will not be able to properly evaluate, and you'll definitely not be able to detach from him while dating him if you're seeing him every single day. So no matter how much he begs, no matter how much he asks to see you, no matter how amazing you are and how much time he wants to spend with you, you set limits to that. Even if you're free multiple of these days or all week, I don't give a damn how much free time you have. You set a hard limit to say, outside of this amount of time that I'll be willing to spend with you, anything more frequent than that, I'm going to say no, even if I'm free that day. because I need to give myself space that I can still be detached while dating you and observe your actual actions and the way you actually are and what's actually going on in my relationship, that I don't put you at the center of my universe instantly. Okay? Let's hop into our second point here. Hope that makes sense to all you. All right. This board, you'll be shocked at how difficult in real life this is to erase. Okay, it's not easy, all right? Not easy at all, I'll tell you that much. If you were erasing it, you'd see. You get arm strength from that. Let's hop into number 2. Oh boy, number 2, you guys aren't gonna like this, so buckle up your pantalones. Okay. We have to talk about this because very, very easy to get trapped in this. So I'm going to draw this out real quick, and then I'll explain what I drew. Okay. This is funny, chat. Don't make fun of my drawing. Just bear with me. All right. So okay. Now, point number 2 is about getting the info. You're not going to like this. Now, I know a lot of you hate the idea of going on a date with another man and talking about his ex. But this is a must in order for you to decenter yourself from a man. Now, let's actually break down why you probably don't want to learn about a guy's ex. Like, let's get past the fact that it's uncomfortable for you. Let's actually ask ourselves a question. Why is it uncomfortable for you? And actually, I want you all to participate here and tell me in the chat, when you say or think to yourself, I'd rather not talk about his ex, why is it that you don't want to talk about the ex? Tell me in the chat. I want you all to participate and answer this for me because we're going somewhere special and I want us to really be focused on this and have a real serious conversation on this. Why do you dislike, the idea of talking about an ex? Give me the reasons, okay? Right? He may or may not have grown. Maybe he's still interested, someone says, because clearly I don't care enough to ask, right? I don't want to think about him with someone else or him treating someone the same as me, right? It's weird that he was that close, right? Someone said, I want him to spill everything about his ex, right? Jealousy, insecurity, he will lie, right? I don't want to think about the fact that he loves someone. Okay, all right. I don't want to waste my time, right? I don't want comparison, right? Okay. So the reason I asked that question, and I'm so glad all of you participated and answered, because I want you to see how your fear is actually hindering you from doing what we want you to do, which is decenter this man. Now, when a guy is new to you, right, it's very easy to project perfection onto him. Why? You don't know his flaws. If you're not aware of his flaws because you haven't experienced them and you have nothing to go off of, it's a lot easier to project perfection onto him, right? Also, because he's, the reason he's an easy projection, I should say, right, is that he is a blank canvas, so to speak. What do I mean by a blank canvas? See, because you haven't yet understood what his personality actually is, because you obviously don't have any experience with him, you can now decide to yourself, what do I really, really like, right? Someone said I spelled it wrong. Did I spell canvas wrong? Is that wrong? That's spelled wrong? You can decide to yourself, oh, canvas. I was excited. Thank you, Spell Police. Okay, you can decide to yourself, right? Because he is a blank canvas, you can decide to yourself, what are the perfect qualities to me? What do I really like? What do I find interesting? What do I think is hot and attractive? And because he is that blank canvas, you get to say, I'll just assume that you're that. And so anything that you say that sounds kind of like that sounds kind of like the guys that I've always wanted, I'll just assume you are that because that's what I want to believe in, right? And so this can be a problem. It's very easy to create a perfect man out of a man that you don't actually know. And this is where I want to kind of have a conversation with you about the ex and why you actually don't like it in reality. Because when a man talks about his ex, you actually you get clarity on who he is. You get clarity and an understanding of what he's been through. He no longer becomes this blank canvas. Also, at this point, you can actually start to see his flaws. Because when he's describing to you the situations he's been through with his ex, he might say, yeah, so one time my ex, she was really, really making me mad. And we were in another city. We went to go out to eat together and I drove her. And, I was just getting tired of her mouth. So I just left her at the restaurant. Didn't bother calling her, didn't bother texting her. It's just like one of those things when I get upset, I don't even want to deal with her. And I wasn't down to deal with that. So I just left her at the restaurant. And you might be sitting there like, what the hell? I didn't know you were capable of that. You did that. That's a real turnoff to me. I don't like hearing that. I don't even think that you're the guy I'm looking for if you're willing to do that. But this is the thing. Now, as he's describing to you stories, you're actually able to visualize who he really is. You're actually starting to get a real understanding of what he's really about. You're also able to see these flaws now. He's no longer a blank canvas that you can project onto. And see, this is the thing, deep down in your heart, and this is the major fear of yours. You're nervous and scared that after a while of him talking about his ex and talking about this, let me make sure it's like this, and talking about this past relationship, you're in fear that he's going to eventually talk himself out of being attractive to you. Tell me in the chat, have you ever had a man, when he didn't say a word to you, he was super attractive. Then when he opened his mouth finally, you're like, oh God, why would you talk? You ruined it when you opened your mouth and started talking. Now I'm turned off. I was turned on when I didn't know anything about you, when you weren't yapping. Now you started yapping, saying this and that, and I realized you're not who I'm looking for. You're not attractive anymore, and you just took it all down the drain. I'm dry now. Why would you open your mouth to speak? Okay? Some people saying yes so many times, right? Yes, I see a lot of yeses, of course, right? Or worse, their breath ends up smelling. So the reason I say that, though, this can be an example of that. This can be another version of that, where a man is opening his mouth to tell you about situations he's been through with a past partner, and then you don't get to project this perfectness onto him, this man that you're super duper attracted to. There's so much intensity between you. He's absolutely amazing in every sense of the word. And now when you realize who he really is, you're like, damn, I wish you wouldn't have said anything so I could continue to live in my fantasy. And this is why I say all of this and explain all of this. I want you to decenter men. The reason I want you to get this info, I should say, is because this will make it easier to decenter any man that you're dating. I know it sounds kind of weird, but you don't want to put any man that you're dating on a pedestal. You don't want to go into your dating phase thinking that that guy's perfect. And one of the best ways and quickest ways to break your illusion is to ask about the ex, get that information, hear some of those negative character traits, hear him talk about stories that cringe you out, hear him talk about actions and things that he said to his ex that make you go, ugh, I don't know if that's my vibe, right? And the reason I'm saying that, not because I don't want you to be attracted to that man, but I want you very quickly to be able to bring him back down to earth in your mind. Because when he's brought back down to earth in your mind and you realize he's actually just a human with flaws, it'll be a lot easier for you to say, okay, rather than imagining that this is some fairy tale fantasy where I just met my Prince Charming and he's come to save me, I'm going to focus on meeting this man, figuring out who he is, figuring out the things he's good at and the things he's not so good at, and deciding if I want to continue dating this guy, right? You'll be able to be a lot more level-headed and logical when he doesn't seem like perfection to you. But the only way he'll stop seeming like perfection is if you start hearing about his flaws and seeing and experiencing some of his flaws very early on. And obviously, very early on, he's not going to necessarily be treating you bad. But if you can get stories on how he's treated his ex bad, even better. It'll bring you back down to earth and allow you to say, okay, I'm here, I'm dating you, I'm on a date with you, and I'm just going to focus on learning. I'm not going to assume you're perfect. I'm not going to assume this date is going to change my life, or I just found the love of my life, or anything. I'm just going to focus on learning you day by day. Some things I'm going to like, some things I'm not going to like so much. That's okay. I'm just here to learn and see who you are, right? Let's hop into our point number 2, okay? I tell you all the time, you gotta hear about the ex. Gots to. Information is so relevant to you and your ability to detach, especially, okay? All right. Let's hop into our 3rd point, okay? Now, this is, I actually, when I was writing this, or my outline out here, I originally didn't put this. Then I realized how important this is. So I put it in here. So we'll call this a bonus point, but it definitely is very relevant, I should say. Okay. Point number 3 is about social media. This is one of the new generation traps that will stop you from being able to detach from a man that you're dating or a man that you've dated in the past. So it needs to be addressed for you now. I'm going to draw something, okay? It's not going to make a lot of sense to you at first. Each and every one of us have one of these. It is a crazy monster. What is a crazy monster, you might ask? This crazy monster is a monster that sits inside dormant in each one of us, that at certain periods of our lives, in certain situations, based on certain triggers, can be activated. When this crazy monster is activated, you have a choice to make. You can either choose to feed that crazy monster, or you can choose to starve that crazy monster. The choice is yours. What does it mean to feed that crazy monster as it relates to social media? When you start dating a guy and you start allowing yourself to make him the center of your universe from the standpoint of saying, okay, I need to see everything he's doing at every point of the day and see exactly who he's following, who he's followed, who follows him. I need to check every single one of those followers, and I need to check on a regular daily basis if he's adding anything to those followers. When you do that, you're feeding that crazy monster. And you want to know what happens to that crazy monster? The crazy monster now looks like this, right? Notice it's a little bit bigger now. And then the next week comes, and again, you're checking all of his stories, watching them in the first 30 seconds. You're looking to see who he's following again. You're looking to see, oh, he unfollowed this girl, but he followed this girl. Who is this? Where does he know her from? You're going on her profile, and then you're checking to see if he's had any comments with her. You're looking in her likes to see if he's liked any of her previous pictures. And the crazy monster is growing and growing and growing until eventually, right, you get to a point where your crazy monster is this size. Should get a different pen. All right, let me get a different marker so I can draw this crazy monster the size that it'll be, okay? Stay prepared. Hold on. I got it. I got to draw this big ass crazy monster properly. You have a crazy monster. And now your crazy monster is really crazy. Why? I'll even draw this here. Because you've been feeding and feeding and feeding this crazy monster with all of this different checking up on what he's doing, checking up on who he's following, checking up on who's following him, trying to see what pictures he's liked, trying to see what reels he's liked, you will set yourself down a spiral that you can no longer control. Because you want to know the worst part about this? When this crazy monster grows to this size, it becomes very difficult to control. See, when you feed it, it grows. When you starve it, it loses a lot of its power and ability to control you. But when it grows so large that you no longer can even control it, you find it very difficult to starve the crazy monster at that point. What do I mean by that? Once you create that cycle of addiction, of checking up on everything he's doing at every point of the day, seeing every single follower, every single comment, every single like, it becomes so hard to stop yourself that you literally can't even use the Instagram or the Facebook or the Snapchat or whatever it is you're using to stalk him and check up on him. Because as soon as you open it, you go right to his profile. And you can't even control yourself and your ability to just stop yourself. As soon as you open it, you just go right to it. You can't stop yourself. But this is a problem. See, you're not going to be able to detach yourself from any man. Not ones that you're dating now, not ones that you'll date in the future, and not ones that you've dated before if you continue to feed this crazy monster. I promise you. I'm telling you this because I've experienced it myself. We all have this within us. So you have to understand if you're properly going to detach from men, and you practice all this stuff, because I don't see a lot of creators talking about this side of things. You practice all this stuff like rating, all this other stuff that people will talk about, control, self-control, awareness, this and that, all this good stuff for detachment. But we don't address how, the things that are going on in our lives in this era, right? When we have social media, it's a very easy way to fall back into the cycle of being overly invested and going crazy, trying to figure every single little thing out about a man and never being able to properly detach from him. Because if you practice all of the other things that I say here, or that anyone talks about as it relates to detachment, but you're still checking up on every single little thing about his social media, you're not going to be properly detached. I can assure you of that. I 100% guarantee you. And the reason that I don't want you doing it is not because I don't want you seeing something that you should see. Understand the truth will come to you one way or another, so that's number one. But also understand it doesn't serve you any purpose in terms of your ability to sit back and say, okay, I'm just going to focus on seeing what I see from this person and evaluating them based on that. And if he doesn't show up for me how I want, I'm not going to be so overly invested and care so much that I can't let that go. You understand what I'm saying? This will help your mentality towards the situation and the date. It'll also allow you to receive when he's ready to give and not be overly focused on trying to force or control him to be any particular person from you. This version of detachment that I'm talking about in today's show is not just detaching in terms of like, oh, I don't want to think about him anymore, or I don't want to care about him anymore. It's also about understanding how to put yourself in a mental state that you're able to date people, receive if they're ready to give, and if they're not ready to give, then you're not worried. Okay? Let's hop into our fourth point with your big ass crazy monster. Okay? Your monster is very crazy, very crazy. Okay. I need a spray bottle. Maybe the spray bottle would make it easier to erase. I'm telling you, it takes a lot of work. All right. So point number 4 here. Did I spell that right? I did. Okay. Point number 4 is about the schedule. Now, I'm going to draw out what I mean here so we can be on the same page. Oops. All right. Today is Monday, so we'll call it a Monday schedule, right? So let's say in the morning, we'll block out time here. We'll just say morning, we'll say afternoon. Okay. We'll draw this out and then we'll discuss. All right. So, like I said before, point number 4 is about schedule. Now, I talked to you about the week kind of span here and about setting hard limits for your entire week that you don't end up spending too much free time in a week with a man. Now, in a lesser sense, on a daily basis, you have a routine and a schedule that you go through, a plan for what you want to do with each individual day. Let's just kind of break down the typical day, right? You may start off in the morning with a workout, and then in the afternoon you got work, in the evening you're hanging out with friends, and then in the night you have sleep. Now, when you start dating a guy, you're gonna be anticipating what you're gonna be doing the next day. When you get to that day, you have an already set schedule of what you plan to do for the most part. What will happen though is sometimes when you start dating a guy, he will try to get you to sacrifice some of the things that you wanted to do to maybe spend time with him at that time because maybe all of a sudden he's free. I don't want you to ever do that. Not even a little bit. I don't want you to rearrange any parts of your schedule, whether it be you better not take off work. You better not. Whether it be work, whether it be friends, right? Because this is the easiest one to misplace that a lot of you will misplace, or getting less sleep. Okay, and you damn sure don't want to be doing to quit no workout to be with him. The thing about this is, right? You don't want to replace any of these with a man. Any of these already existing plans in your life with a man. Why? Because if you're trying to date from a detached standpoint, as soon as you start rearranging your schedule and sacrificing for him, you'll put yourself in a place of a very high, we can call this very high investment. What does high investment really mean? High investment in this sense of the word is when you start making a lot of sacrifices for one person in particular, you'll start to feel like, damn, I'm doing a lot for you, and I really want this to work out if I'm gonna be bending over backwards for you. Because I can't just be doing that for anyone that I'm randomly gonna date for a couple of weeks and then not be with. It's creating a scenario in your mind where as you invest more and as you sacrifice more of your things, now I have less friends because I don't hang out with them as much. Now I'm chronically tired because I don't get enough sleep. Now I'm out of shape because I've been sacrificing all my workout times to spend more time with you. Right? Or because I get less sleep, I sleep in, so I miss my workouts. Or because I get less sleep, I'm way more tired at work, and now I, am not going to get a promotion, or I don't work as hard, whatever the case may be. The problem is now you start to say, okay, I've given up a lot for you. I've traded in a lot for you to spend these days with you, to be around you more. And as you start to feel like that, you'll be like, well, I need repayment in return by being with you. If I'm going to trade in all of these things for my life, then I better get you in return. Because if I don't get you in return, then this has been a complete waste. And I'm invested now, so this is going to be difficult for me to let go. The mistake here is once you start being overly invested like this and you're no longer detached anymore, anytime he shows you something that you know you shouldn't tolerate, you'll say to yourself, well, I've already lost friends to be with this guy. I've already, not done good at work to be with this guy. I'm already losing all these other aspects of my life to be with this guy, right? And now that I've traded all of this in to be with this man, I really, really need to end up with this man. Whether he's going to treat me good or whether he's going to treat me bad, I got to figure out a way to get something in return for all of my investment. I do not want you in that position. So what must you do? Similar to setting hard limits, you will never, ever change or adjust your schedule for a man at any point when you're dating him, especially at the very beginning. Because in order for you to stay detached, you cannot be in a place where you feel like you've traded in things for yourself to be with him. Once you start doing that, you'll start feeling like you're owed a relationship from him, and that's the outcome that has to happen in order for you to get repayment on the investment or the trade-in that you gave, right? Okay, does that make sense? Are we all on the same place? Someone said I'm taking notes here, right? Very, very important. I think you should take notes. I think it's very important information to understand because when you like a guy, it's very, very, very easy to start doing this. And the moment you start doing this, you're going to set yourself in motion for the exact thing that we don't want, which is for you to start going crazy because you need this to work out. You don't need nothing to work out except you going to work out. That's all. All right, let's hop into point number 5. Okay, this is point number 5, right? Just erased 4. Okay. This one will be a little bit hard for some of you to do. I'll explain why. Okay. Point number 5 is about decisions. Let me break this down. We'll do it like this. Okay. Okay. We're going to break down this visual like this. For point number 5, we have decisions. There is a decision for a man to make at each point of his dating and talking stages with you. Anytime he's making a decision in this relationship, he's deciding between one of these 3 choices. He's deciding to treat you like a princess, which means go above and beyond for you and really take care of you and make sure your needs are met. To treat you like, man, I kind of will do the bare minimum, but not really trying to go over the top or do the most. Or he can choose to treat you like trash where he doesn't even meet the bare minimum standard. And in fact, he's probably making your life actively worse. Okay? There really is one of these 3 options in every decision that he can make in a relationship with you. But here's the thing that I want you to do, especially when it comes to detaching from men. I want you to let go of your desire to control whatever decision he chooses to make. Now, this is way easier said than done. But what you'll realize is when you start dating a guy and you want a relationship with him to work out, you'll want him to pick this road because you want to get treated well so that this relationship can go well so that you guys can be happy together. So you're going to try and say, well, okay, I need you to get me flour. You have to do this so that we can be together, so that I can be happy, I can feel like a princess, and I can get treated well. I need you to ask me out on dates so that this can go well and we can be together and we can be in a happy, healthy relationship. I need you to go all out on Valentine's Day and really tell me and show me how much you love me. I need you to call me on a regular basis. I need you to text me every 5 minutes. you'll get so obsessed with trying to make the decision for him to treat you this way that you won't realize, first of all, he's not making the decision for himself. You also won't realize what he would rather do. Decisions for men are all about what they would rather do. And I want you to be detached from trying to force him to make any particular decision. Why? Because I want you to see what he would rather do. It will tell you a lot about him, a lot about how he feels about you, and a lot about his interest level in actually even building with you. Because the truth of the matter is, the guys who actually want to build with you and are invested in you, they will treat you like this. They will choose to treat you like this. The men who, they're kind of lukewarm on you, they will choose to treat you like this. And the men who really don't give a damn about you, they will choose, it's not an accident, they didn't forget, they didn't get busy, they will choose to treat you like this. So the thing that I want you to do now, when you go out into your dating stage, your talk stage, or whatever, is I want you to detach yourself from choosing for him which one this should be. Now, let me help you understand something. That doesn't mean that you don't deserve princess treatment, okay? That doesn't mean that you don't deserve for a guy to show up for you properly. However, when you go out on a date, you're not here to convince him to treat you properly. You're here to observe if he chooses to treat you properly. If the case is that he chooses to treat you like trash, you will accept that as the truth and you will move accordingly, which should be moving away from him. But it is his choice and his decision, and you are detached from any one of the decisions he could possibly make. If he chooses to make this decision, cool, then you'll spend more time with him. If he chooses to make this decision, he's probably not going to get a lot of your time. And if he chooses to make this decision, he's definitely not going to see or hear from you at all. Does that make sense? Right? Someone says a man who truly cares will treat you like a princess. Absolutely, right? Always the man's choice, Empress says, 100%. He says, but what if he thinks I'm uninterested? That part is on you. I'll be honest about that, right? But we do talk about that in the Players Club, in allowing men to pursue you, but also making sure that you balance that out with showing him that you're interested in a way that doesn't make you come across desperate, but at least allows him to understand that he's progressing here. We've talked about that on other shows. That's for a different day though, all right? So let's hop into point number 5 or 6. We just did 5. Okay. Here we go. I think point number 6 was, okay. Yeah, y'all ain't gonna like point number 6. You won't like this one, but it's whatever. Okay. Let me draw something first, and then I will explain what it is that we're talking about here, right? Okay, perfect. Perfect. Okay. It's a lot of drawing required for this, all right? So, point number 6 is about reaching out. Now, I'm going to explain to you in this visual why I don't want you reaching out and how it serves your detachment, okay? Let's say, for the sake of example, there just is no text. So you're forced to reach out in order to kind of stimulate the process of you guys having conversation. When you reach out, he then responds to you, has conversation. Oh, how you doing? Oh, yeah, we haven't talked in a bit. I just been busy with work, blah, 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 blah. And then you say, yeah, I'd love to go out with you sometime. Love to see you again, da, 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 da. Then he's like, yeah, sure. You want to hang out tomorrow? Yeah, we could go to the park or something like that. Then you guys hang out, and then the same cycle happens over again, where there's basically no text, no response, no reaching out. You do some reaching out. You guys have a chat. Then you hang out based on the fact that you reached out. This is a problem, though, Because similar to when we talked about adjusting your schedule and sacrificing, this will do the same thing for you in terms of making you feel so invested that you need a particular outcome out of this. This is what will happen. See, you're a woman, so your nature is to be in your feminine energy and feel like you're in your feminine energy. What will happen though is if you spiral too far into the opposite direction, meaning you start going and being in your masculine energy, you'll start to adopt that mentality. But the problem is down the line, you'll be frustrated being in that position. What do I mean by that? When you start reaching out on a regular basis just to get a hangout out of him, you don't realize it, but every time you do that, you actually make it harder for yourself to pull away and let go. Why? Because when you're reaching out, and you're basically, I should say, forcing this relationship to work, every time that it just barely works and you just barely get to see him, you feel more and more invested in making this work because you've done so much work previously to make this work. So now when you reach out and you get the hangout and you basically force him to go on a date with you the first time, then it makes it so that the next time you're like, well, I can't just let this go now. I can't just say nothing now. I can't just let this fizzle out now. I've got to figure out how we can go on a second date. So then you do the same thing over. But now you've done it twice. So now you feel like I got to do the same thing again because it's been 2 weeks now and I can't let this die. Then it just goes on and on and on. And each time you reinvest, you make yourself feel more guilty about just letting it go because you don't want to have wasted all of this time and energy previously. And this is why it can be such a dangerous cycle for your ability to detach. Because when you overinvest like this, you'll never be able to detach properly. You'll always be focused on gaining back your investment, right? Gaining a return on your investment, so to speak, your ROI. When you invest in these men like this, right? I'm not saying you can't do something for a man, but when you overinvest in a man like this, it makes it so you can't possibly detach yourself from the outcome. You're always detached to a particular outcome, which is me and him have to be together. Okay? Let's hop into our point number 7. Right? Yeah, point number 7. Okay. All right. Point number 7 here. Very important. Okay. It's like ASMR when I'm just writing on the board like this. Okay. So, in everything that you do when you're dating a man, see, part of being detached is also being very logical in your way of going about things and approaching things. Why do I say that? Because you're a woman and you're more naturally going to be emotional. Let's just be honest, right? But you don't want your emotions to control your ability to make good decisions. It's okay with being emotional. We're all emotional to a certain extent. You just don't want your emotions to put you in a position where you're actually getting hurt, okay? So what I want you to start doing is I want you, before you ever date any man at all, okay? I want you to create, whether it be in your mind or if you really need to have a physical copy of this, create a list out for yourself of the criteria that you need to be present in any man that you're ever gonna date. Any man. And then when you start dating men, you go and ask yourself, okay, I know I said I wanted a man with direction because I know why that's so important. Does he have that? Okay, check. He has that so far, right? I also wanted a man who is very respectful of me and our relationship and talks to me a certain way. I know that that was something very important to me. Does he have that? Okay, check. Right? I know that I really needed a man who's capable of resolving conflict in a relationship, because when you fight, which every relationship's going to have fights, we need to be able to come up with solutions so we can get past those fights. Can he do that? Answer is yes. And on an ongoing basis, right, this criteria will never change for you. No matter who you date, no matter how many times you go on a date with them, it never changes for you. And what I also want is on an ongoing basis, you need to be asking yourself, are these criteria that I have for any man that I'm going to be with, are they being met? If the answer at any point in your relationship becomes no, or becomes, I just don't think I'm ever going to see that from him, despite it being one of my main criteria in terms of being with any man, then you have to end that relationship. And the reason I'm saying that this will help you detach is because when you first ask yourself the question of what is my criteria before you go on the date, right? Before you even start dating, it becomes a lot easier to just answer for yourself, is the criteria met or is it not met? Okay? And you won't be so emotionally invested that you start trying to twist things and turn things and make it seem what it's not and justify things. No, no, no. There is no justification. Answer the question, yes or no, is this criteria met? You said you wanted a man with direction. Does he have that? Yes or no? If he doesn't have direction, then you know what you must do. There is no if, ands, or buts. Right? Sometimes when you have your checklist, you even write it down beforehand, it makes it a lot easier for you to not justify things after the fact. And it's a lot easier to detach when you can just observe if things are true or false, rather than saying to yourself, I'll just go with the flow and see if I can work with certain things. Okay? Your criteria should be your criteria, all right? Let's hop into our 8th point. Lots of points, okay? Lots and lots of points. We're yapping today. Okay. And this is honestly the most important concept for you to understand, right? You have to understand this. Have to. Okay, there we go. That looks good. Damn. If I join the art class chat, okay, that one. Okay, never mind. Okay. Okay. So the reason I drew this like this, our number 8 point is about outcomes. I want you to understand you are not going to be able to control the outcome here to a certain extent. What I mean by that is you can do everything that you can possibly do and say, I want to travel on this destination here. I want to go in this direction towards a relationship. I want to figure out how to work on myself. I want to make the best version of it myself, invest in myself, do all the things necessary to be in a relationship. But what you have to realize is it's not just about you. It's also about him and what he wants and how he chooses to go about this. So when you're dating men, you have to allow yourself to realize, look, I'm here. I'm dating you at this current moment. I'm on a date with you at this current moment. But the process of evaluating if I'm going to be with you is going to be ongoing. I have not made a decision or decided to myself that we must be in a relationship. I don't know you well enough. I still have to learn a lot about you. We still have to go through a lot before that decision can get made. Okay, right? And so the reason I say that is because the outcome is the most important thing that you must detach yourself from. Meaning, I don't need this to be a relationship or not. I just need to focus my energy on evaluating who you are and learning who you are. That is all I'm focused on. Because the reason I say this and the reason I'm saying to detach yourself from the outcome is because the outcome is the one thing you cannot actually control. Because the outcome consists of you and him. So not just your desires, but his desires as well. Not just your actions, but his actions as well. So even though you want to go in this direction, he might end up going in this direction. And if he ends up going in this direction, well, then the both of you are going to break up. The only way for this to come true is for both of you to be on the same page about this. But What I want you to accept is the reality that that's a possibility, but that's also okay. And I know it sounds a little bit morbid to say, but to say that, hey, you should be okay with the fact that you and him might break up. But you have to realize not every date that you go on is going to work out perfectly. Not every man you meet is going to be the perfect man for you, but that is okay. You're here to evaluate and find the man that you're looking for and filter out the men that you're not looking for. If he is not one of those men, your world does not end. I can look at me. Me and you were friends. We're very close. Your world is not going to crumble because you simply can't be with one man. There is plenty of men. And I know you're saying it, but Tomisin, there's no one on this earth like that man. Nobody gets me like he does. Nobody has my sense of humor. Nobody has my same interests. Nobody vibes with me like he does the vibes. I love the vibes. Nobody has a big penis. Nobody has a big schlong like he does. There's nobody that can do it. Nobody can. I promise you. You will meet someone. If you just try and put yourself out there, you will meet someone that is just as good as him. I can assure you. It feels like it's impossible. It feels like it doesn't exist. It feels like he's the only person. I promise you, if you leave your house enough times, you'll meet someone that is even better than him. I can assure you, right? There's lots of people out there for you to meet. But it won't be that case if you don't leave your house, okay? So I have to just preface it with that. But if you leave your house, I promise you, you'll meet someone just like him, all right? Does that make sense to all of you here in the chat? All of these 8 points. We did a lot of points, okay? All of these 8 points make sense to all you beautiful people. Do you guys have any questions about what we just discussed in any one of these 8 points? By the way, for those of you who are watching the show on TikTok, because I'm live on TikTok and YouTube at the same time, you can go onto my YouTube page, which is just above my head on the top right corner of the screen. Just type in my name, Tomisin on YouTube. You'll see me live on YouTube there, and you can rewind the show from the beginning. If you missed any of the points, you came late, or anything you want me to repeat there, you can just rewind it there and see exactly what I said, exactly how I said it throughout the whole live show, okay? Maya says, Tommy almost caught a violation for that. That's it really something, I help a lot of people. By the way, I also do private questions. So for those of you who have a question for me, even if it's unrelated to this exactly, you can also ask me your private question by going to the link in my bio on TikTok if you're watching, or in my description on YouTube. Click where it says private relationship advice, and you can ask me a private question about your situation, ship or relationship, and goes directly to me. No one else sees it. I'll respond with a voice message, and I'll send it back to your email. Okay, right? You can ask me a question that way. Okay. All right. Let me answer some of these. Someone says, the more you decenter, the more life has a good taste. I 100% agree, right? Henya says, I need a farmer boy. Why do you need a farmer boy? What's so good about a farmer boy? Someone says, so if I am happy in my relationship, why should I look for someone else? Wait, what? When did I don't think I ever said that. Did I ever say that? I don't think I said that. If you're happy in your relationship, then be happy in your relationship. Carmi says, how do we rewind? You go to my YouTube channel. Just go up to my YouTube, Tomisin, and then you can rewind there on the YouTube live, because I'm live there as well. Let me scroll up here. Flower says, being with the wrong person is a zillion times worse than being alone. I learned to love in solitude. It's true. It's very true. LP Baby said, for point number 1, what about date 2 times a week if we are just seeing someone before defining a relationship? For example, I invited a guy I'm seeing to a wedding to see how he acts in that setting. Yeah, it's not that you can never date a guy more than once a week. Well, I do advise in my sex timeline, and even in my kind of like relationship timelines, because I've had a whole show on the sex timeline, that you probably don't want to be dating a man more than once a week, at least for that first month, just because you want that first month to avoid at all costs getting into a situation where you're overwhelmed with emotion of meeting someone new. After the first month, you can definitely ramp it up a little bit to going on 2 dates a week. But I really don't want you start very quickly jumping into like 3 or even 4 dates a week, because it'll become very hard to be detached. It'll become very hard to like actually, allow yourself some room to breathe and think about what you want if you're on dates so frequently with that person, right? Rachel says, if a man has treated you meh or trash, can that ever change to princess? Do you want me to be honest, or you want me to lie? My lie answer is yeah, I can change, but my honest answer is it most likely won't. It just doesn't work like that. Like a man doesn't, a man that's been treating you very trash, or like, he doesn't care, is not just randomly going to wake up one day and magically change that treatment in a heartbeat. The only time a man might change the way he treats you, truthfully, and just being honest with you as a man, the only time a man might change his treatment of you is if he sees other men are making moves on you, and that he might actually lose you to one of those other men. That's when he'll actually start to think and scramble. Maybe I should make a change. Maybe I should do this and maybe I should do that. But even then, sometimes that's probably going to be short lived. More than it will be an actual change. I'm just telling you the honest truth. Okay, this is just the honest truth. Okay. Someone, who is it that just donated here? Let me shout you out here. Kendra donated $5 in the YouTube chat. Thank you so much, Kendra. I really appreciate that. Blue says, how does a man who has detached from us return from the dead? Returns from the dead when he feels, when he is texted a clown emoji. Wait, what? I have not done it, but tempted. Wait, what? He tempted you, and you got to explain that again. Sorry, I didn't get that. I didn't understand that. Okay. Nicole donates $5 in the YouTube chat. She says, thank you. I pray you're right about meeting someone else who is better. It seems almost impossible, but honestly, I knew it wasn't right for me. It's okay to realize that, but realizing that is the most important part, and being honest with yourself about that is really important, because once you accept that as the truth, then you can move forward based on that truth instead of just trying to like make it work, right? LP Baby says, for point number 2, how do we ask the ex in a sly, smart way that will get them to open up? This is hard for me. Oh, ask about the ex in a sly, smart way. My advice is, anytime you want to talk about the ex, you just start talking about their experiences, in relationships, like what they've been through. It shouldn't be something that is very hard to bring up, to be honest, because when you think about this, if someone has been in a serious relationship before, a lot of the experiences they'll be discussing with you, which they should be discussing experiences with you in some way, shape, or form. The past partner will come from there. And then once you hear the word, oh, my ex, or my, my last girlfriend or my last relationship, then you just jump on it from there, right? You just say, oh, speaking of your last relationship, blah, 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 right? It shouldn't be very hard if you're asking personal questions for a guy to start talking about his past relationship, or at least mention it in some way, shape, or form. If he's like, if talking and somehow continuously avoiding that, then that's strange. I don't think that it should be hard to get on that topic in some way, shape, or form. Kimberly says, let me scroll up, see if I can find it. Where did it go? Where did it go here? She said something, I thought it was interesting. Kimberly says, Tomisin, what do you think about going to high-end places to find a successful man? Yeah, you can go to high-end places. You can, quote unquote, find a successful man. The only thing I say, though, to that is, Kimberly and anyone else, because I know some of you probably also watch Shira, and Shira will definitely advise you to go to things like cocktail bars or whatever the case may be. I don't know what she says, like country clubs and things like that to find men. The only reason that I am against that, everyone has their opinion, is because I know that if you go to a country club or some cocktail bar that you never go to for the purpose of meeting a man, and you go there and maybe no men come up to you, or maybe a couple men come up to you, but no one asks for your number, you'll go home so miserable and defeated that your confidence will be at an all-time low. And you'll become a way less attractive version of yourself because you have that low confidence and self-esteem, because you feel like, well, if I went to this country club for men to talk to me and no one talked to me, now I feel like trash, right? And now this kind of carries on into the rest of your life, that feeling of, oh, I'm not valuable. No one wants me. No one wants to talk to me. Because when you go to the country club or the whatever, it's like you're going there solely to meet men, solely to talk to men for no other reason. So you feel like it's a waste of time if you go there and men don't talk to you. Whereas if you go somewhere that you actually find interesting and actually would enjoy, whether a man comes up to you or not, at least when you spend your time there, whether or not a guy comes up to you, you're still leaving happy. And that does a lot for your confidence, which also does a lot for your aura, which will allow you to be more inviting and attractive to men to actually come up to you and have conversation with you. I'm always thinking about the spiritual and the emotional. The reality of it is, yes, you can be drop dead gorgeous, but if by the time men come to speak to you, they can feel your energy is off, or you don't sound very confident, or you don't sound like, you are the it girl, it's going to be a turnoff. You understand what I'm saying? And people can feel that. So you have to take care of that by building your own confidence and putting yourself in a place to succeed. I don't think that going to a cocktail bar or a country club when that's not what you would actually want to do is going to put you in a place to succeed. You'll just be there waiting for a guy to come up to you. It's not going to come across how you want it to come across. Lauren says, she says, plus to also do your errands and fun activities on the rich side of town. Yeah, I mean, doing your errands and doing your activities on the rich side of town, at least you needed to do those things anyways, right? So you're getting something done instead of just sitting around and waiting. The sitting around and waiting is the thing that I don't like the idea of, because when you're sitting around and waiting, it's like a man needs to deliver you from your misery. And I don't like that idea. You'll be in the wrong mental state and you won't be able to actually interact properly, okay? Someone says feeling awkward in a country club. Everyone is a little bit different, right? So I don't like to apply advice that I know some of you will be like, I don't belong in a country club. It's not my vibe. It's not the way I like to spend my time. So why would I advise you to do that, right? Burrito Queen says, I went to a place once because my friend wanted to meet guys and she was crying at the end of the night because no one talked to her. It was really sad and I felt we were so pathetic. Exactly. That is your answer there, comment there, Burrito Queen, is exactly why I do not advise you guys to go to a place simply to meet guys. I advise you to go somewhere you find interesting personally, and then in the process of that, you will meet men. Okay, men are everywhere. They're not in a shortage. All right. Ellie says, what about initiating a text or going a couple days without texting? If he is always initiating a text to make you seem interested, I know you need to use it to plan and no casual talk. My truthful advice in a very simple fashion is, at the beginning, I don't think there's any reason for you to be texting a guy first. I know it sounds very horrible and very kind of almost like arrogant, but I just don't think there's any need. If he's, let's assume these couple of things. If he's approaching you, meaning he's coming up to you to talk to you and get to know you, okay, that's his choice, right? You didn't choose that. You didn't ask for that. He approached you. Let's assume he asked for your number because he wants to ask you out on a date. He gets your number and then he starts texting you for the purpose of asking you out on a date. That should be all on his part in terms of like the pursuit there. Then you're evaluating. Obviously, when you go on the date, you want to seem like, if you're actually interested, you want to come across as you're interested, right? You want to be flirty. You want to talk to him. You want to ask him questions, all of that good stuff, right? To make him feel like, okay, this is going well. She's interested. But then when you go back to going home after the date, what's the need for you to reach out? He asked you out on a date, right? He approached you. This was him coming to you. So that process continues. It's not that you're going to ignore him or not show him any interest, but if he's not going to come out of his own self and reach out to you because he wants to talk to you, well, then you have your real answer. This is why a lot of the stuff gets messed up when some of you approach men. Then you flip the script and then you wonder why these men don't text you. When you approach men, a lot of times men aren't going to text you or reach out to you. It just doesn't work like that. You're setting the wrong precedent and the wrong foundation for what we.
But there was just something about her. I met her. We talked for a couple days. We hung out. She seemed very supportive. So I'm like, why not? I mean, you're not my type, but I'm going to give you a chance because I normally go for this type. And then after a while, she just grew on me. Her looks grew on me in about the 48, 72 hour mark, in the sense of, I think I can do this.
Wait, bro said 48, 72. I mean, you probably thought she was pretty attractive if she grew on you in 48, 72. I thought he was going to say like 2 months, 3 months.
What I'm trying to get at is, just because you're not attracted to someone does not mean you don't give them a chance. Now, some of you are infuriated with me right now, talking about why do I need to embarrass my wife like that? Why
Which is exactly what some of you guys are saying. Okay.
do I need to talk about her looks when I can just talk about the positives and not embarrass her on the internet? So why are you mad at me trying to hold me accountable for the words that I am saying, but you not in her comment section talking about, girl, you didn't need to embarrass that man on the internet like that? Okay. Oh, some of you ain't
Wait,
know I've
what?
been married for the
Embarrass what? Wait, what? Embarrass what, man? I'm confused. And what is he referring to there?
past 5 years, and I'll be honest, I was
Now, here's the thing. I actually don't think that, aside from the last part was kind of weird what he said. I didn't understand that. But I don't think that what he's saying is actually wrong here, in the sense that people can grow on you, and that's okay. And I actually think that in the weirdest way, going for people who are your type is probably the wrong move in most cases, because your type is probably mostly going to consist of a particular physical traits that you're really attracted to. But then by the time, a lot of times, assuming you're single, you get to the personality traits, you find that those people don't really work for you or mesh with you. The thing about your type also that I think is important to think about, when you think about what your type is, excuse me, when you think about what your type is and why it's your type, you have to understand if the person, how do I explain this? When you're thinking of someone who's highly attractive, you're not thinking of someone who has the intangibles that you're looking for. But in order to make a relationship work, you can't just be with someone who's extremely attractive. You have to be with someone who has intangibles. And sometimes they won't come with the package that you're looking for in your type. So your type can kind of put you in a box where you only meet certain types of people. And a lot of those certain types of people might not have the intangibles to be able to be a good partner to you. Meanwhile, the good partners you're overlooking because you're so focused on one type of person, because there's only so many of that type, right? So I do think there's a little bit of truth to actually a lot of bit of truth to what he's saying there.
I only feel comfortable being myself with my ex-girlfriend. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've tried talking to people. I've tried to date around. I just can't. I can't get over her, bro.
Okay, I want to. This is okay. He must be Gen Z, because this is a really Gen Z type of video. Like, what would you think if you were on TikTok and you seen your ex-man post a video talking about, I only feel comfortable being myself with you, but he's talking about you? I wonder what it's like for his ex to watch this video, because it was probably someone sent it to her. I wonder if that's strange for her or not. Well, how would you feel if that was you?
Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you, no bullshit. And like, I know this is putting my business out there, but like, on God, when I tell y'all, nobody is as good as the relationship that you are actually committed to, and that shit hits so fucking hard right now. Mind you, like, we still talking stuff.
What?
We still on good terms. It's just, shit happens, circumstances. We grow, got to get our lives together. Things happen that
I really wonder what it's like for her to watch this video. Like, what does she actually think?
I'm not really gonna get into all that right now, but I'm not gonna lie to you. As the days go on, as these years go on, like, these generations of young adults is starting to get like worrisome, bro. It's like it's scary out here. I'll just say that. Like, she's the only person I really feel comfortable with sending a bunch of reels. You know what I'm saying? She's the only person I really feel comfortable with telling small stories and big stories in my life story. And I'm gonna just keep it $150. Cause it's like, I think to myself, how many of these people that I actually try to talk to really deserve a good morning text? How many of these people really deserve a text back to begin?
Okay, we're gonna do a little bit of role play here. Okay, I'm gonna explain to you how this is gonna work. See, this is actually a perfect scenario and situation of why I want you to ask a man about his ex, because you might not realize it. You might think, oh my God, like, look how much in love with his ex he is. Like, any girl that dates him would be an idiot. But I want you to kind of role play here of asking about a guy about his ex and really ask yourself, do I feel like the guy I'm talking to may or may not feel this same way? Do I think if I were to ask him a question like this, how comfortable do you feel around other girls and things like that, that he would share a lot of these same sentiments like, oh yeah, I just feel closer to her. I feel more comfortable sharing things with her and all the stuff that he's saying. Because it's clear when you're hearing it from him and you don't like him, you're not interested in him, that this is obviously a man who you should not even attempt to date because he's not emotionally available. But then this is the same thing that I want you to spot in other guys, because you might go on dates with guys that talk exactly like him and feel the exact same way as him. It's not bad what he feels, but he's clearly not emotionally available at all. So any girls seeing him or talking to him or going on a date with him should watch this video and immediately block him, because there's no point dating him. He's not even available to date.
With. Should I even tell you happy birthday? Like, I only hear from you every 2 to 5 business days. Like, let's keep it real, bro. And the whole time I'm over here thinking, okay, maybe I'm the problem. You feel me? But I've had to learn. I've had to grow up. I've had to experience life shit just like everybody else. And I just realized, like, I can't be the only thing that's considered to be the problem. Nobody wants a relationship no more. Nobody's looking for a relationship. Everybody just wants to smash and dip. And it's unfortunate because, shit, you missing out on a lot of good shit going on in life, bro. I really think I just grew out of that, wanting to have a talking stage with every single person. I'm really at the point where I'm just like, if somebody's not like interested in me, or I feel like they're not interested, maybe I overthink it. But if I get a vibe that makes me feel like, okay, maybe they don't like me as much as I think they do, they like the thought of me, I'm confident and comfortable enough to tell them right in there, hey, look, like, I don't think this shit is gonna work out.
You know what I love about this video? Right? Someone said, what is he rambling about? I love this video because this is exactly the way, a guy's mind works. And see, sometimes when you like a guy, I really like this, because this is an example of what you'll firsthand hear from a guy when you actually get good at just asking questions and letting him go. See, when you're in a place where you're overly invested and you want a relationship to work with a guy, you'll only hear the second half of what he said. Let's break this down a little bit. The second half of what he said was basically, no one else is really serious, and I can't find anyone who doesn't just want to smash, and everyone's just looking to, a quick thing, and I'm really looking to grow and build with someone. So if you really want to like this guy and you go on a date with him, you're going to only hear that part and say, oh my God, you're perfect for me. I'm a girly that doesn't just want to smash. I'm a girly that wants to build. I'm a girly that wants to be a wife and all that other stuff. But when you're detached, you'll realize all of what he's saying is irrelevant to you, because he's actually still in love with his ex-girlfriend. That's what's really happening here. The rest of the stuff is just kind of ancillary and whatnot, right? I'm not saying that any of this is a lie, but he's in love with his girlfriend. And his girlfriend, or not ex-girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend. And his ex-girlfriend is aiding in his limiting belief that there's no one else out there for him except really his ex-girlfriend. Okay. And this is the exact, I like this video. I love this video. This is the exact reason why I want you to date men from a detached standpoint, because it'll be easier to spot these things when you're actually listening for the clues instead of just listening for what you want to hear. Because the girls that will go on a date with this guy, he's not a bad guy, but girls that will go on a date with this guy, they'll only selectively hear the part that they were looking for. Oh, he's ready for a relationship. He's ready for something serious. They'll ignore the part where he was literally telling you, I'm only in love with my ex and not at all in an emotional state to be with anyone else. So my advice to you, right? This is why, the Detached show was such a good show today, right? Pay attention to these things. Even though, in the video, he's kind of just spilling his guts. He's kind of using this as therapy. This is good because I want you to do that same thing to men. And I want you to just let them go. Just let them talk honestly. In fact, I even want you to encourage and agree with them. Make it seem as if you're on the same page with them, because then they'll talk more and they'll let you know more. And then by the time you learn all this stuff, you might even realize, oh, this is the last date I'm ever going to be on with you. I don't even need to be exploring this at all. Right? What is going on there? What was that? What was that? I don't even understand what I just looked at. I think he forgot who I was. So what did you do? Chat, can someone explain to me what's going on in this video? What is that? Is that Instagram? She's looking at her stories. What's going on here? Oh, or all these men liked her story? She shows her. She's flexing how many people viewed her story. Okay.
Come on, come here. Sit next to me. Let me talk to you. Sit right here. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck about you. Any woman who has been getting motion in her inbox for a long time, she will tell you. All them men liking your pictures and your story and shit, that shit don't impress them. It don't mean shit. It really don't. Telling people you must have forgot who I was, or I got option, that only works on insecure people or people with low self-esteem. Because the truth is, there's a lot of guys out here who have a lot of options when it comes to women. So ladies, can you imagine a man being like, hey, don't forget who the fuck I am. I got options out here. You'll look at him like he lost his cotton picking mind. Who the fuck are you I don't give a fuck. If you got options, go talk to them then. Cause why your ditzy ass still right here, then bye. Goodbye. That shit don't, all that's gonna do is make, well, people like me who got confident shit, all that's gonna make me do is say goodbye.
I'll be honest, I was kind of wondering why she was because she actually posted this on her. Yeah, that's I think that's it's one of the Gen Z. It's the Gen Z vibe. Only the Gen Zs will really understand. I just don't get why even post that. I don't understand that at all, to be honest. I guess she just wants. See, my whole thing is, I understand subtweets, but I just, no offense to this girl, I don't understand. Clearly, she's posting this for one guy in particular to see it. Like, she wants to hurt the one guy. But, like, is it really worth it? I don't know. Maybe I think I'm weird. I don't care enough. Whatever. Sorry,
good girl. They don't want men do not want the good girl. They don't want the nice girl. They don't want the cool girl. They don't want the woman that gives them a peace of mind. They want women that stress them the fuck out. The woman that keeps them sitting on the edge of their seat. Mysterious, unpredictable, self-centered, has an exciting life, doesn't need him. And that's the reason whenever you see a man that cannot move on from that one woman in his life, that one ex-girlfriend, they will always say, she was the crazy one. They love the crazy ones. Because they trigger their masculine instinct to problem solve, to lead, to stay active in a relationship. The masculine instinct to compete with their own mind to still make that woman theirs. The women that are crazy, unbothered, and have an exciting life on their own, men are so intrigued by because they compete with that woman's happiness. They don't compete with other men. They literally compete with that woman's life satisfaction. It's so intriguing to them because they desperately want that woman's approval since she's so unbothered. The good girl, the woman that gives them a peace of mind, is the placeholder. Sometimes they end up in relationships with them. Sometimes they end up marrying them, only to keep an eye out for the future wife. Because the good girl is convenient. Of course they're gonna say they want the cool girl, the chill girl, just because they know it's not as much work for them. They know with a woman like that, he could start at the pub until 3 a.m., get home drunk, hungover the next day, and she would let him get away with it. With the good girl, he is the center of the marriage. With the good girl, he is the center of attention. He can now come and go as he pleases. He could come home at 3 a.m. after he was spending the whole day at the pub drinking with his guy friends and still gets home to a cooked meal because she loves him so much. But he doesn't stay with the good girl because he loves her so much. He stays with the good girl because it is convenient. Men.
So here's the thing. I don't think that anything she said is necessarily wrong, but the title is, I think, a little bit misleading because men don't actually love crazy women. They like she mentioned, like women who have their own life and their own happiness, but crazy woman is not something that men gravitate towards more because they're more attracted. Like, so for example, I think that when a lot of people think or hear the word crazy, they think of a woman freaking out or going crazy. That's not what men like at all. Men don't like crazy girls in the sense of being more attracted to them. Crazy girls serve men's ego because when you go crazy on them, they realize how important they are. But crazy girls, they're not more attractive to men than girls who are unbothered. In fact, unbothered girls are more attracted to men than girls who are going crazy on them. But men do like women who have their own happiness. And I do agree that when they feel like they're competing for your happiness, that's when they're actually trying to show up for you. Because when you already have happiness existing in your life, they realize that your train will keep moving, whether they're on it or whether they're not. And so that in itself can already be nerve-wracking for a lot of men that are going to date you, realizing that if they don't show up, it's not going to be very hard to drop you and continue moving on. When they realize how desperate you are, that you literally have nothing going on in your life except for them, then they'll start to get arrogant and realize that they can do whatever they want here. Because what are you going to do? Leave? Obviously not. Okay?
The less you do for a man, the more he does from you. And this is something I learned directly from being a dominatrix. These men would come in.
Wait, what? I'm sorry, what? What did she say?
They would pay me, and some of them honestly would think they owned me for that hour because they paid me. And so it was like, I want you to do this. I want you to spank me. I want you to do this. And I would just sit in the chair and blow on my nails and wipe it on. And I'm just like, you done?
That would drive them insane.
And I was like, I feel like reading a magazine, actually. You know, I know we have an hour together and you did kind of pay me, but I don't like your tone. So until you fix that and get on your knees and give me a reason to get out of this seat, I'm not getting up. And then all of a sudden, I'm sorry, goddess. What do I do? You
Yeah,
want me to get you water? What do you want me to do? The less you do for a man, the more he does from you. And this is something I learned directly from being a dominatrix. These men would come in, they would pay me, and some of them honestly would think they owned me for.
Someone said my dream career. Okay. The story is funny, but the concept makes a lot of sense, right? The also thing that it makes me think of is the same thing kind of with respect, right? You'll go into a situation and you might be nervous about actually standing on business or like saying no to a guy, because in your mind you're thinking, if I say no to him, then he won't like me anymore. What will happen is when you say no to men, like when you tell them no, or you just, you know, basically even in a feminine way, say, I'm not doing that. It's just one of my boundaries. I'm not doing it. Some men will be turned off because they'll say, oh, I just wanted to use a girl. So if you're not going to let me use you, then whatever. But some men, when you say no to them, they'll actually realize, oh, you're actually setting a boundary. Oh, you're actually not just going to go for whatever. And they might throw a little bit of a hissy fit or a temper tantrum, even in some cases. And then they'll return back and they'll say, I apologize. I shouldn't have responded or reacted like that. And I understand you set those boundaries because you are a respectable woman. Right. And it's kind of strange, right? Sometimes you feel like, oh, but he's going to overreact. He's going to be mad. And then sometimes you'll have a guy come back and respect you more because you set the boundary, or because you said no, or because you didn't allow the fact that he basically threatened you with, I'm not going to like you anymore, to like throw you off. And it's funny, men are so used to being able to like hold that against women who are desperate that when it doesn't work on you, they realize, oh, that's kind of the version, you know, the previous video that he was talking about, you have options. That's kind of like the indirect version of I have options. When you threaten that, oh, I'm not going to love you, or I'm not going to like you anymore, or I'm not going to be interested in you anymore. And then you're just kind of like, yeah, okay, sure. That is actually showing men that you have options, because someone who's unbothered like that clearly has enough options that if you're not going to like them anymore, then other people will. It's not going to change their life that much, right? That's a very interesting lifestyle she's living.
Oh, hey, do you want to hear another absolutely disgusting secret about men that they definitely do not want you to know?
Why is he whispering?
It's an absolutely foolproof method, so please pay attention and do not tell anybody that I told you. If you are currently going through a difficult time with someone who you are either dating, in a situationship with, or in a talking...
Okay, I'm sorry, this is too low.
Nobody talks about... Nobody talks about how hard it is to stay away and not speak to somebody your soul and your body and your heart naturally yearns for. The discernment and the discipline you have to try your best not even to think about them. Nobody talks about how hard it is. And trust me, for those that are going to see this, I know how hard it is. It's going to be okay, though. Take it one day at a time, deep breath. And if they're meant to come back around, they will. Hopefully it's better than before. Nobody heart.
My whole thing is whenever you're grieving a past partner or a past relationship, I think the best thing for you to do is to fill your life with action. I know it sounds toxic because like, oh, well, are you going to suppress everything that you feel? No, it's not about suppressing it. It's about feeling it 100%, like feeling everything that you're feeling, acknowledging your own feelings to yourself. But in the same breath and moment you acknowledge your feelings, you also remind yourself that you cannot allow your life to stop because you miss someone. You cannot allow your existence to perish away and to be paralyzed by the fact that you're sad about not having someone in your life. And you can, so this is kind of the advice that I want to give you. And I want you to kind of make yourself think and do. Anytime you're missing the person, say, yes, I'm going to miss this person while doing something, while getting something done, while finding something to do, while finding something to work on. And as I'm thinking of that person, as I'm feeling that, even if I want to cry, even if I want to sulk, even if I want to, whatever the case may be, I'll think about them as much as I want to while I do something for myself. Because what I want to happen for you is as the days go by, you continue being in motion. It doesn't have to be a lot. You just continue being in motion. Continue being in motion. Continue taking steps forward. You can still miss. You can still be sad. You can still be all of that good stuff. But you just stay in motion. Slow and steady. And as you stay in motion, what will happen is as you're, still worried about missing the person, you'll start to look on the things that you were accomplishing while missing the person. And you'll be like, oh, I've actually been doing pretty well for myself. I've actually been building things. I've actually been getting better. I've actually been growing. So yeah, I miss the person, but clearly my life isn't horrible. Like I still have a lot of good things happening. A lot of good things are in my life. A lot of good things are present here, right? Because you'll be able to see the fruits of a lot of your labor and the actions that you were taking over the course of time while missing the person. And that makes it, when you get to that point, it'll make the idea of not having that person in your life so much more palatable, right? So much more digestible, not because they're not important anymore, but you realize like happiness still can exist in your life, even without that person. The worst thing for you to do is for you to sit around and allow the sadness to paralyze you, where you say, because I'm sad about this situation, I won't do anything. I won't go out with friends. I won't go to the gym. I won't, do anything for myself. I won't hang out with family. That is the worst thing for you to do because I just want to sit down and be sad. That's horrible. Because what will happen is down the road, when you've been sad about the person and then you also haven't gotten anything done for yourself, you'll feel even worse and you'll convince yourself that happiness doesn't exist in your life without that person. Okay, so I don't want that for you.
I don't know who need to hear this, but if someone blocks you on everything, whether it's an ex, a situationship, a friend, it don't matter. They are trying their hardest to get over you. Because really think about it. If someone blocks you on just a couple of things, but leave something open, I mean, they're getting over you, they're moving on, but they're not completely done with you. If they don't block you on anything at all, they could be moving on, but they just don't care. You know what I'm saying? They might have already moved on. But to block somebody on everything, I'm talking about text message, Instagram, TikTok, don't matter, whatever it is, you must have had a big impact in their life. They might have made a bad decision to leave you. Shit, you might even have messed up with them, and you probably made a bad decision. That's why it ended. But either way it go, they still trying to move on from you. And it is not an easy process. So I want you to keep that in your mind every time you're wondering, oh, well, they blocked me on everything, so they're never coming back. They're more than likely going to come back eventually.
Whoa, brother, slow down. I don't want you spilling any delusions on my people here. Whoa, chat. I don't want any of you thinking because someone blocks you that they're coming back and then no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not feeding any delusions here today. When you move on from a relationship because it didn't work out, you're moving on. You're not, here saying, well, one day, no. We're going to move forward, okay? I'm not letting you go around in circles. Some of you love going in circles, right? I'm not going to let you do it. Okay, I'm not going to let you feed any sort of delusion. This is not Delulu land. We come here to learn and understand men so we can move forward, not so that we can continue moving backwards with the same men over and over again. Those relationships, learn from them. Stop trying to go back into the, no. Don't make me come to your house, okay? All right, let's hop into our next segment of the day here. For those of you who know what's coming up, please spam it up in the chat. It's a special time. It's an amazing time. It's a time where you're going to laugh and you're going to cry. If you're not sure, we're going to make you very aware in the chat, okay? Don't look at your clock. Don't look at your watch. Don't look at your phone. Don't look nowhere else in your entire home. If you don't know the time, I'm going to tell you the time. Discord time. I like to trick you guys so you don't know if I'm going to yell or I'm going to scream. You know what I mean? It's you got to kind of like figure it out, and sometimes I just like to stay unexpected. You know what I mean? All right, let's hop into our Discord time segment of the show. For those of you who have no idea what's going on, I'm going to explain to you how this works right here. So Discord times where all the amazing members of our Players Club community get an opportunity to ask me a question about their situationship or their relationship, and I answer it live on the show. Now, there are a few different ways for you to send in your question, and I'm going to explain the three of them to you right now. The first way is by sending in your question to our free relationship advice forum. Now, the way that this forum works here is that you go to the link in my bio on TikTok or in my description if you're watching on YouTube, click where it says Players Club Discord, and then you can drop your question into our free forum here. Now, this forum is a first come, first serve forum, meaning there's a queue of people, like a line of people who are asking questions and are waiting for their answer, because obviously there's a lot of questions and I am only one person. Now, all of these highlighted questions, these are questions I haven't yet gone to. So there's a lot. All right. Now, I'll warn you, if you ask your question today, it's probably going to take me a few weeks to get to your question, just because you can see there's over 30 days old here. And so just keep that in mind. So if you ask your question here, it's not going to get answered today. However, if you are someone who's impatient and you can't wait that long to get your question answered and you want to answer today or the next show, you can ask your question through our premium relationship advice forum. Now, the way that this works is that if you want to skip the line of people and you don't want to wait for the long queue of people to get your question answered, you can go, if you're watching on TikTok, to the link in my bio on TikTok, or if you're watching on YouTube, to my description on YouTube, click where it says Premium Relationship Discord Advice. And then when you click that, you'll be prompted to donate to the show, and then also send in the title of your Discord username and the title of what your question is going to be. And then when you put that in there with your donation, I get a notification on my phone that that's your donation and that's your question. And then when I'm able to see that, I'm able to verify that your question is supposed to be in here, because we like to keep it fair for everyone else who's waiting. And then it allows you to actually skip the line properly and you don't have to wait. Now, the third way of submitting your question is for those of you who don't want to, for those of you who don't want to spend any time, you don't want to have your information read out live on the show. show, you can ask me a personal question where no one else sees it by going to the link in my description if you're watching on YouTube, or in my bio on TikTok. Click where it says private relationship advice. And then when you click that private relationship advice link, you can type out your question, as many sentences and paragraphs as you want, and send it in to me. And then I respond with a voice message and I send it back to your email. Okay. Now let's hop into our first private question of the day, which comes from Princess in 4D. Okay, so past wounds triggered. Princess in 4D says 4 parts. Sorry, this is long. So Ghanaian man and I were supposed to go on a date today, but he is now saying he's too tired and that we can reschedule. I said, okay, but honestly, this is his second time canceling plans and it's starting to annoy me. I gave him a pass the first time because of this situation with his mom, of course. Sorry, let me just update you, chat, because this is like an ongoing we have like a whole season going on. You have to follow all the lore. So Princess in 4D is dealing with a man who she's been dating, and his mother is currently sick or not sick. She needs surgery, which he has to pay for. So that's the situation she's referring to with this guy's mom. This time he's saying he's too tired. So he has to work more shifts, I should also say, to pay for the surgery. This is why he's working a lot and very tired. However, I work a lot too, and I have a lot on my plate. Yet I still made myself available for the date that he planned as effort to make it up to me, only for him to cancel again. I don't want to set an example that I'm always just okay with plans being canceled. How can I let him know that canceling plans is not okay? Do I just tell him how I feel? As you know, we're only 2 months in and we've only had 5 in-person dates so far. Given that he lives 4 hours away, I understand that he can't make it every week, but I do expect that when plans are made, he follows through. That's fair. But canceling this time, he first asked if he could sleep over at my house after the date because he was tired and would have to drive here and back on the same day, which is obviously a lot. He typically does this with no issue each date. Therefore, this time I was willing to compromise and told him he could stay over, but I would sleep on the couch because I only share a bed with my boyfriend and we aren't in a relationship yet. I only offered him the bed because he's 6'4". Are you flexing his height on the chat? I'm joking. And he wouldn't fit on my couch. However, he declined. However, he declined, saying that he wouldn't let me do it and that we could reschedule because he was too tired. So he was saying that he wouldn't feel okay with making you sleep on the couch and him sleeping in the bed. You know what? I'll read the rest of it. I actually kind of understand that. For me, that would be weird too. I wouldn't want a woman displacing herself to I'm sleeping on. It just feels very weird as a man. I'm sleeping in the bed, comfy, and she's that's weird. That's weird. Even in my own place, a girl would sleep in the bed. I would sleep on the couch. I'm trying to be understanding, but I've noticed that he's a bit more distant as well. Yeah, we understand why. We normally speak on the phone 4 to 5 times a week, but now we've only spoken once for less than 20 minutes, and texting is scarce still because of me. This is despite him telling me that when he is going through things, he prefers to keep the same level of closeness rather than needing space. However, he's been distant. I know you tell us not to worry about phone communication and to focus more on in-person dates, but this is a semi-long distance case. We had a routine, and now I'm noticing a change in his actions and pursuit of me. Add to that, I realized that men from my past used to give up on the relationship when they got stressed with life, partly because I would start to push closer to them and demand more after seeing their behavior change. Now that I found your show, I know better than to do that this time. However, I recently took a test and discovered that I have a fearful, avoidant attachment style. And given the circumstances, I'm starting to overthink and feel worried about what he could be up to. Wait. Where are we going with this? Where are we going with this, Princess in 4D? We know what he's stressed about. We know why he's been distant. It's not really a mystery here. He's obviously going through the situation of stress with dealing with his mom's situation. I think for the most part, I don't think you've seen anything else that would make you feel otherwise unless it's in your message here. My mind is beginning to play tricks on me. I've caught myself checking his follow. It's exactly why I put social media in today's show. Exactly why. This is exactly what I was talking about. This is exactly. I've caught myself checking his following, his likes on IG Reels, and this is quite literally word for word, band for band, exactly what I was referring to today. Exactly. I posted a video on my story, and he normally replies, but this time, this is exactly what I was referring to. I know I looked good in it because I got a lot of replies, but not from the person I wanted it from. Don't worry, he doesn't know I've been doing any of this or feeling this way. But this is why I don't like this. This is why you're seeing disappointment on my face. Because you're feeding the monster that's going to create more anxiety within you. Right? Like you're saying you have fearful avoidant attachment style, but you're feeding that monster. And maybe you don't realize it, but I'll tell you, that's the mistake. When you recognize you have that attachment style, that doesn't mean feed the monster. It means make sure that you don't feed the monster by doing these type of things, right? Someone says how to stop feeding the monster, you just stop. And you understand that if I do these things, I will make my situation and my mindset worse rather than better. There's never a point where you're going to check his following, check his followers, and check his whatever and feel good. You're only going to go there to look to spiral deeper. You just have to stop yourself from even entertaining that and just say, if I know I'm tempted, I just might have to just delete the app. If it's really that bad for me, I might have to just delete that. You cannot feed the monster. Put his ass, sorry, I shouldn't be cursing. Put his butt on mute. Right, mute in the like Instagram app or the Facebook app where their stories and their posts don't show up on your feed at all. Right, it's not that you have to unfollow them or anything, but you just don't see their posts. Right, if you have to do that. Update. So I went the whole day ignoring him, and he double texted. I texted back with a simple "Hey," and he didn't respond until next morning. He's starting to lie to me. He told me he fell asleep, but I know he was up since I seen him active and liking reels. You can't do this. You can't do this anymore. You can't. I'm telling you right. Stop doing this. Stop doing this. You're doing something very bad to your mind here because I get it. It doesn't feel good to be lied to. I'm not saying it's okay for him to lie, but you're going to put yourself in a place where you mentally start feeling like you need to like control him. Cuz you have to understand this, what you're doing here is a version of control. You're feeding the monster that has a desire to control everything he does. So when he tells you he's going to bed, you're going to check, are you actually going to bed? Or are you going to lay in bed for another 30 minutes and scroll on Reels? Because if you're going to lay in bed and scroll on Reels, then you should have been messaging me up until the 30 minutes where you actually went to bed. It's not a good way to exist. You will start feeling like you need to control him and control everything he does for you, everything he does in a relationship, and you'll start to question so many things unnecessarily. And it's very repulsive. I'll just be honest with you. It's very repulsive. Nobody likes this. Okay, no one does. No one's attracted to this. Okay. Plus, I know him and he always stays up until 3 to 4 in the morning. Honestly, I'm ready to end things and move on because I do not like liars. He doesn't even care to ask why my energy is off. And if he is upset at me about something, the fact that he's keeping it to himself and choosing to move weird is telling me a lot, I think you might say, about his character. I agree with that. So if you're getting to a point where you feel like this doesn't serve you anymore, then I 100% support your ability to break up with him and end this relationship. If that's what you're asking me, maybe he fears upsetting me, but that is not conducive to a healthy relationship. He told me one of his exes and him ended things because he didn't know how she felt and that he changed in the future by asking more questions. So this is a pattern. He said they would schedule monthly check-ins to go over their issues. Okay. He normally answers me right away and calls first, but now I've barely spoken to him at all this past week, given I barely text and he stopped calling. Should I call first? Absolutely not. No. You're like within 2 months still? Absolutely not. No. I know you'll think it's because he's working more, but his job is one where he can text or call me whenever. Don't ever adopt this mindset. Never. I don't care what his job is. Don't ever adopt the mindset that, oh, I want my man's time and I want my man's time while he's working. Okay. I get it. Some jobs are a little bit more relaxed than others. I'm just saying that you can't try and hoard a human being. Okay. We're going to address some things that he's doing, but Princess and 4D, you cannot hoard human beings. If he's at work and he's doing work things, let him have time where he focuses on his work. Okay. I get it. You want some of his time. I get it. He should be able to text and call. You cannot hoard human beings though. You can't own him because you're with him. You can't own all of his time and all of his energy. He's allowed to have focus in other places outside of you. I'm not saying it's a good thing that he doesn't call you or he's texting you or calling you less. That's obviously a bad thing. But I don't like this whole thing where you're talking about he can call me and text me during work and relax. Okay. He's allowed to put energy into other things. Okay. He's mostly always on his phone. Once again, relax. He's allowed to have energy in other places, which is why he'd always text back right away. Now he goes hours as well. Maybe he's mirroring me. I had a past talking stage get upset at me for not putting in energy because I take too long to reply back to texts. Maybe that's how Ghanaian man feels. Regardless, doesn't mean that you should change anything that you're doing. Okay. Unless he brings it up and says, hey, I would like you to text, because he didn't seem to have a problem with it before. Obviously, now he's going through a situation. Maybe things are getting a little weird for him, but I don't think that it means that you need to change anything. You told us to pay attention to changes in patterns. Yes. What could this mean? Should I just end things? I've already drafted a breakup message, but I'll wait until you respond because I tend to self-sabotage and cut people off quickly, then regret it later. For now, I'm ignoring him until you respond. I'm already planning to focus more on my hobbies to manage these feelings, but but any additional help or reassurance would be appreciated. Questions summarized below. How do I let him know I'm not okay with canceling plans? Why is he being distant despite telling me that when he is going through things, he prefers to maintain the same level of closeness? Should I take this as this? Oh, let me just read these out and then answer them. How do I let him know that I'm not okay with canceling plans? So the next time that you guys have a phone conversation, I think that you should address this thing. So the next time he has time to like talk to you on the phone or he calls you or whatever to talk, I think that you should mention on the phone that there are some things that you want to be addressed before the next time that you guys hang out or whatever the case may be, right? Because right now we're kind of reaching make or break territory. The reason that I say this is because obviously if this doesn't change, you're going to just dump him. So the canceling plans thing is kind of it. The reason I'm saying this specifically for you and your situation is because you're in a situation where you haven't seen this behavior from him before until he started having this issue with his mother. So letting him know I really am not a fan of this canceling plans thing will at least give you the leeway to know that even though he's been going through a tough situation with his mom, that you let him be aware of what it was that was not okay with you. Then what he chooses to do with that information is his own choice. So that's how I would bring it up in a phone conversation. Why is he being distant despite telling me that when he is going through things, he prefers to maintain the same level of closeness? What people say they prefer or what they would like to do or what they would do or do is the different from what they actually do. You just have to understand that people say things and then they do a different thing. It's not a him thing. It's a human being thing. Human beings do that all the time. So you just take what he actually does as the truth, not what he says he would do. Should I take this as a sign to let him go? I think that everything that you're saying is valid in terms of why you're disliking the change in patterns and behaviors. But what I don't want is I don't want you to be in a limbo place where you're saying, let's break up. And then you're at the same time saying, okay, well, never mind now. Like, I want you to make a solid decision on, okay, this is not working for me and I don't care. You know, I get it. You're going through a thing, but I'm not going to entertain this anymore and actually move on. Or, decide to address this or have a conversation with this and then see how he responds to it. Right. I think that either choice is valid for you, depending on where your tolerance level is at this point. What can I do to stop feeling worried that he's stressed with life? And what can you do? What can I do to stop feeling worried that he's stressed with life and work? He'll leave me before I can leave him. Wait, what? That's not you can't control that. You can't control it. You can't. if you're thinking that I just want to beat him to the punch, that's not a healthy way to go about this relationship. You're either with him because you like him and you want to be with him and you think he represents what you want, or not. You can't worry about, oh, I'm trying to leave him before he leaves me. That's not how you should be approaching this. Why is he not expressing how he feels when I know his energy is off and so is mine? Okay, this is a good question. Well, everyone deals with stress differently, and everyone deals with situations differently. Now, he might say that he likes to bring people close and all that good stuff, but clearly he's showing some avoidant tendencies when going through stress. The worst thing you can do during this time, honestly, though, is smother him. I'll be real with you. If he's showing a little bit of distance now, I don't want you to smother him, because smothering never works. It just doesn't work. Just being real with you. And you guys are only in the first 2 months, so smothering him is not gonna put you in a better position. Supporting him, if he actually says he wants your support, is totally different, because obviously he has a situation with his mother. But if he's showing you that he's just actually distancing himself from you, you can't smother him. Please don't do that, right? Should I tell him to call me so we can talk? I'm going to say no. I think that you should let him have a desire to speak to you first. Then when he has a desire to speak to you, then you can kind of say, I have some things that I wanted to talk to you about, and just so that we're on the same page. And then you mention the cancellation things. But when you mention the cancellation things, also refer to the fact that I understand why it's been hard for you to plan dates and things like that. It's not that I don't understand, but I just want you to know that it's also frustrating for me, right? That's the advice I'm giving you, because your specific situation is very delicate. You don't want to come across as insensitive to his obviously very specific situation, right? Update, today he hasn't texted me at all. Granted, he was the last to send a message, but normally text in the morning. So this is the actual message. It says, yeah, hey, good morning, how are you doing? He sends hearts. Okay, nice. I hope you've had a good day. Okay, you didn't respond the whole day? Okay, I'm not, what are you doing here? Okay, princess. What are you doing here? Why would you do that? He says, hey, Saturday morning, good morning, and you don't say anything all day? Well, let me make sure you guys are seeing this on everywhere here. Let me make sure we're not all confused. I don't want us to be confused. This is a little bit confusing to me, princess. I'm going to explain to you why. Let me see here. I'm going to put this on the screen for everyone. He says, so Saturday morning, he says, hey, good morning. How are you doing today? Hope you had a great day. You don't say anything all day. And this is now 9:03 p.m. And he says, good evening. And now you're saying, hey, just like that. And then he doesn't say anything. Now it's the next day. He says, good morning. How are you doing? I slept early. And you said, I'm good. Going to be out all day again. Have a good day. Oh, okay. Take care. Have a nice day. Okay. So I'm assuming you're doing that because you want to send him a message that you're upset about something, which I get it. You're trying to send him a message. But I don't think that this is the way to go about. I think that I get what you're trying to do. I want to make sure I give you the right advice here. I get what you're trying to do because you want him to ask what's wrong, and then so that you guys can actually have a conversation. I don't think it either seems like he's not getting the hint clearly, or he just doesn't care. In which case, I think honestly, now seeing this, you can't play this game anymore. I think the best thing for you to do now is straight up, until the next time he calls you or says, like, okay, this is going to sound weird. Don't respond anymore until he says, are you okay? What's wrong? Then when he says that, say, we need to talk about some things. And then just leave it at that. And say, we need to talk about some things, but I can't text about this. And then let him choose when he's going to call you, or if he's going to call you. The reason I say that is because I feel like maybe this, because I see what you're trying to do here, but maybe this wasn't extreme enough for him that he's not getting it, or he's just ignoring trying to actually address it. So you're going to have to force his hand in terms of addressing it and realize that if he's just going to keep saying, hey, good morning, hey, good morning, hey, good morning, hey, good evening, and not say anything about this, then we have a different problem on our hands. Because I will be honest with you. Obviously, like, you not messaging him at all is strange, but I see you're trying to get him to acknowledge something's wrong so that you guys can have a conversation. So I get why you're doing it that way. But at the same time, if this is going to go on for so long, then it becomes a pointless activity, right? So you said he hasn't messaged you today. The next time he messages you, then don't say anything again. And then if he messages you again, then don't say anything again. Like, you're going to kind of have to, as toxic as it sounds, you're going to have to force his hand to acknowledge something is wrong here in this situation. Because it doesn't even sound like, it doesn't sound like, I'm not going to make an assumption on his situation, but it doesn't really sound like, oh, like he's suffering or something. He's dying to talk to you and you're just not answering. It just seems like he's having casual conversation. And if you don't respond, he's kind of like, whatever. But you're not going to be able to work with that like that. And that's not going to be sustainable for this to be going on like this for a long period of time. So my advice is for you to like leave this until he actually addresses it, like directly, and says, hey, is something bothering you? What's wrong? The reason I say that is, even though it might make you feel like mean, I think that there has to be a certain level of him having a desire to like make this better or fix this, because I'm not sure how he doesn't see this as strange. Maybe he does. Maybe you don't text a lot, so he just doesn't think anything of it. But obviously, if I was dating a girl, this would be a little bit strange to me, especially if you guys have conversations all the time. So I think you need to allow this space for him to come to you and say, hey, is there something wrong? Is there something bothering you? Do we need to talk about something? That way he's mentally primed and prepared. Like, yeah, we do need to talk about some stuff that I need to address to you. And then you can address the cancellations, and you can address some of the other things that have kind of been bothering you in terms of like how he's been showing up here. Now, when you do have that conversation with him, like let's say it's prompted by him saying what's wrong, and you guys have the conversation, at least over the phone, if it's not going to be in person. Then when you guys have that conversation, you don't tell him what he should or shouldn't do. You just tell him the things that have been bothering you about what's been going on so far. And then you allow him to choose his path. And this is the thing, he might say, oh, I would do this, I'll do that, I'll change this, I'll change that. All you say is, okay, I accept your apology. Sure, whatever, we'll move on. And then you don't say anything. And then you allow him to show you if he's going to actually make the adjustment or not. Then, after you guys have that conversation, if he doesn't make no adjustment, go ahead and just end the relationship, because you already said what you needed to say. And you gave him an opportunity to change or make the adjustment. If he chooses not to, then you have your answer completely, okay? Then you have my full permission to. But yeah, you're going to have to kind of force his hand and force him to acknowledge something's wrong here by literally not answering anything until he says, are you okay? What's wrong? What's bothering you? Or what's going on, type of thing. Then you can address that. At least let him be prompted by at least caring about what's going on with you. You understand what I'm saying? All right, let's start off with, we'll do Pansy is our next question. My ex is a covert narcissist. Hello, Tommy. It's me, your favorite flower again. I was in a relationship with my ex for just over a year and come to realize he's a textbook covert narcissist. Our relationship is done. I've blocked him on everything. So what's this question about? I feel like there's a but coming. And haven't spoken to him in over a year. However, he left me feeling afraid to start a new relationship because of his sneaky behavior, which completely blindsided and drove me crazy. Our relationship was very toxic in the end, and I broke up with him. Everything you talk about and what I've learned is wonderful and all. Still, I know for a fact once you are actually in a relationship or dating someone, it is really hard to discern in the moment. That's why you got to date from a detached standpoint. I want to share a few things my ex did or said, and that still trouble me. Why do they still trouble you? And I'd like your advice on navigating similar situations with someone new. Number one significant red flag was how he talked negatively about his exes from the beginning. Now, hear me out. People often say to be cautious of someone who claims all their exes are crazy, but my ex had a sneaky way of expressing his feelings. He was actually hung up on one of his exes, let's call her A, and it was not the most recent one. The previous one right before me, let's call her B, he actually didn't have much bad blood. So if you're just asking for his last relationship, he wouldn't say many bad things about B, but he has really strong, intense bad feelings for A, who broke up with him around 7 years ago. I think this can confuse people who simply follow the strategy of asking how his last relationship ended. Yes, obviously, when you ask, I'm making an assumption that most people who are, trying to work on their dating life are having partners or dating people who have had 1 to 2 maybe serious relationships. Of course, any human being can have more than that, just depending on how old you are and how many people you've dated. But yes, when you start having conversation about past partners, you want to kind of get an understanding of all the past partners. Obviously, the most recent one is going to give you the most understanding of who they are right now and who they are currently. But all of the partners will also be good things to ask about just in general, some of the things they've learned about in their relationships. The other thing to notice is when you let guys go, like when you just let people talk, you'll hear certain things. And so I'm sure if you were talking to someone who was hung up on one particular ex, if you let him talk enough about relationships, he would bring up that particular ex because she's on the front of his mind. So then you just let him go from there. And that's why asking follow-up questions is such a important skill set to be able to kind of like shift and maneuver in places that require the most focus at the time. So I remember during our first dates, before anything was official, he casually referred to A in a dismissive way, calling her, there was this girl who wanted to put me in a box. In reality, she was his longest relationship, lasting over 5 years, and they lived together. But the way he referred to her at the time, he didn't even say her name or that she was his ex-girlfriend. How would he, what? Okay. Made it sound like she was just some random girl he once met at a party. So I didn't think or ask much about it then. You didn't ask much about a girl he lived with? I'm confused. Why would you not ask about any woman he's living with? You should be asking more questions about that. You should never be making assumptions they're friends if they're living together. Even after we were together, he'd bring up A lot, often in a mocking manner. When I called him out on it, asking why he always talked negatively about A, he replied, I can say good things about her too, but do you really want to hear how much I liked her? Your answer should be sure. You should want to know that answer. Chat, class, humans, souls. I understand some things can be painful to hear, but you have to realize, like, people are human beings. You cannot own them, right? You can't own people. You can't control them. You can't force them to only exist when they met you. Like, let's be adults here, okay? We don't live in a fairy tale land where a human being just got created and put on earth and they've never had any experience in life outside of you. You have to accept that before you met this person, they had experiences. They might have loved people. They might have been in relationships. You're better off knowing what those experiences are and either deciding whether you can accept them or not than trying to shy away from them. I'm not saying you did that, Pansy, but this is the problem, right? This mindset is like a virus. Oh, you don't want me to tell you how much I liked someone. You don't want me to tell you how, the things of course I do. If I'm going to be in a relationship with you, I want to know everything you've been through so I can better understand you and, the person that you are. That should be your approach to any relationship. I proposed we just avoid discussing her altogether. Horrible, horrible, horrible way to go about this. Horrible. But he continued that he only brought her up in context, saying we just happened to talk about X topic, and I am just referring to that particular thing she did. You did the opposite of what you should have done, which is when you notice that this seems to be a topic that comes up a lot, asking follow-up questions. If a guy feels compelled to talk about one girl in particular, that should be your main focus on asking more and more follow-up questions on. Because any guy that feels compelled to just discuss one particular girl obviously has some sort of feelings towards her. Ignoring that, or if you ever start saying, let's avoid this topic, and you're in the early parts of dating, you've lost. You've lost. I don't think about her any other times. I only remember what she did when we happened to talk about a related topic. This is what he was saying to you. His response felt like gaslighting and didn't sit right with me. Tomisin, how should I respond to this? Please give me a play-by-play. You never, ever, you never, ever will adopt this mindset ever again, right here, okay? You never say to yourself or to the guy you're talking to, let's avoid discussing this topic. Never, ever. I don't care which ex it is, which number in line they are. I don't care which woman it is, which experience it is, which night it is, how long ago, what. You will never, ever propose any idea that you avoid discussing any topic. You're putting yourself in a horrible position. You're putting yourself in the dark about who this guy really is. You should be, you want the play? You be the most inviting and encouraging person when it comes to letting a guy speak freely and openly about all of his experiences in his entire life. If he wants to sit on this date and tell you the experience he's had in life from when he first came out of the womb until now, let him yap about all of that. And you just sit there and you listen and you learn. I don't care how painful it gets. I don't care if he starts talking about the last person he had sex with. I don't care if he starts talking about the last person he fell in love with. I don't care if he starts talking about the last fight he had with his last person and the last time his ex-con. Let him and encourage him to talk about all of that. You will come to some very important realizations. Either you'll realize, hey, I like this person and I like the way they react and respond to stuff, and I think I can work with this and don't want to be with this person. Or you'll learn an even more important lesson, which is me and this person will not work out. And I should not waste not one more second of my time continuing to be in a relationship with this guy. Do not allow yourself to live in la la land for even a second. As soon as you sit down on that first date, you allow yourself to say, hit me with all of it. Bring it on. Hit me with every story you have of your past. Give me every horrible experience. Tell me all your negative character traits. Tell me everything that would turn me off. Tell me everything, right? I want you to adopt that mindset, because when you learn that and you get hit with that, you'll either be completely turned off and you'll just want to move on, which is also good, or you'll realize that, hey, maybe they're not as bad as I thought and I can kind of work with this. Either way, it's a good realization for you to have. In reality, he didn't leave A when they faced challenges. Even moving across the country for her when their challenges was already crumbling the relationship, I think you meant to say. They were not long distance. He just moved with her to her home state to save the relationship. He seemed angry and resentful about how that turned out, but he always played like a victim. When I asked him what he learned from that relationship and what he would do differently, it took him a while to come up with an answer. Also a very bad sign, right? If someone feels like something went horribly wrong or didn't work, especially a relationship for 5 years, you should be able to take a lot of things from that. If you don't take anything from a 5-year relationship, then the assumption is that that person thinks that they're perfect. If you're dating someone that thinks that they're so perfect that there's nothing to be improved on after going through a 5-year relationship that didn't work out, you should probably not date that person. Okay, you're probably on a date with a narcissist. He ultimately said, I probably shouldn't have moved for her and shouldn't have stayed in the relationship that long. At the time, I accepted this answer because I wanted to like him. So another problem here, right? Having a desire to say, I want this to work out, will have you looking at his answers from a standpoint of, how can you tell me what I want to hear? It's the same reason, it's the same thing with the ex thing. You don't want to hear about the ex because that's not what you want to hear. That will help you keep the fantasy alive, right? But do you think this is an acceptable answer to the question? It's not. When you ask someone what they learn, it should be focused on, what do I think I need to kind of change or adjust in my approach to have more successful relationships? Someone who's emotionally intelligent will answer that question from the standpoint of themselves. Someone who is not emotionally intelligent or doesn't know how to take accountability will answer the question from the standpoint of, I shouldn't have loved them so hard. I shouldn't have done everything I possibly could for them. That's not. That's not. Even if you get cheated on, right? Even if someone gets cheated on, right? There is still a way to take accountability and say, not necessarily that I did things wrong that caused me to get cheated on, but in the totality of our relationship, there were other places where I wasn't perfect as well. It's not just like, oh, that person cheated on me and the entire relationship, I was absolutely perfect. There is no relationship where a human being is resolved of mistakes, or absolved, I should say, of any mistakes. Doesn't matter how the relationship ended. And if someone you're dating can't even acknowledge or think to themselves what things they could have adjusted or done better to have just overall a better relationship in general or be a better partner, then that person doesn't have the right mindset and approach towards dating. Because accountability is everything. You can't do a relationship without that, right? Someone says that's not true. It's not about doing something wrong that gets you cheated on. It's about acknowledging that even if I got cheated on, outside of that person cheating on me, there were still other places in a relationship I could have made adjustments and been a better partner to that person. Outside of what they were doing to me or behind my back, I still know that certain ways I approached the relationship, I could have been a better partner overall. That takes emotional intelligence, accountability, and maturity. People who want to pass off accountability to other, you did this to me, you did that to me, it's your fault, it's this and it's that. Those people, stay far away from them. Stay far away from them. They don't have anything to learn from. They don't feel the need that they need to learn from anything. So they will do the same things over and over again. Stay far away from those people. Okay. When I asked him why he would stay, if A is awful, he said, which a lot of guys would say this, Tomisin, I'd like you to address this answer. Well, I was too in love, or love makes you do crazy things. To me, that's not an acceptable answer. Okay, I would ask more questions, right? I don't think that that's an acceptable answer, just simply because when we talk about, okay, yeah, you don't like the relationship, it wasn't working out, and he was a bad partner to him. I get it. It's not easy to leave. Right? I'm not saying that's easy to leave, but you also have to ask the question, like, why did you continue to do something that wasn't working out? Or were there, this answer comes across to me very, oh, I am such a victim, like you mentioned before. I don't like when people answer my questions about their past relationships as I was a victim of that person, okay? Because I don't want to get too graphic here, but no one held a pistol to your head to force you to stay with that person. I get it. We all have our situations and our things that we go through, but I just don't like when people talk and have rhetoric that way. I'm such a victim that someone forced me to stay in a relationship with them. That's not how that works, okay? Now let's talk about the girl he dated right before me. They were together for 2 to 3 years and also lived together. So this is time number 2. So clearly, if the living together was the issue, he didn't learn from that from the first time he did that. Okay. Initially, like I mentioned, he didn't have much bad things to say about her. At a much later time into our relationship, he once dismissed B as just a rebound from A. Who'd have thought a 3-year live-in relationship is a rebound? I wouldn't think that either, but it's good that he admitted that to you. That at least will tell you something about him. But he framed it as a compliment in comparing his love for me. You are the real deal. This is capital L. Which made it feel less like trashing her. Who doesn't like to hear someone who is obsessed with them, of course? When I visited his apartment for the first time before we were official, I noticed he had a huge painting, nothing provocative. It was abstract art, from B displayed prominently in his living room. Along with smaller frame pieces of her art. Oh. Oh my, they funny out here. They funny out here. It's amazing what wanting to like someone will do to your mental state and just allow you to not see things for what they are. I thought you were going to say this art was art that maybe she bought for him, right? Or whatever, gifted him. It's art that she actually made that's displayed in his living. Oh man. You know how we always say, oh, guys, it's all about actions. You can't listen to their words, right? It's true. Guys don't do things for no reason. They don't do things for no reason. They will tell you how they feel by showing you how they feel about anything. So when you come to a guy's house and he has displayed in his living room. Can you imagine? You walk into a man's living room. How many guys will even lay out art out in their living room in general? Right? Think about that. And he purposely has gone through the process of putting nails in the wall and hanging up each one of these individual personal paintings made and created by that woman that he wants to see every day when he's in his living room. That should have been the last time you ever saw him. It really should have. That shouldn't have gone on more than that, right? B is an artist. Yeah. This made me feel uncomfortable, so I expressed my feelings. That's not something this is something you ask about. When you get the answer, you just go ahead and realize you shouldn't even be dating this person. The person, I get it. Having mementos of a past relationship doesn't make someone a bad person, but hanging up personal created paintings by your ex that it's been years since you broke up in your living room, it's too far. He said he would remove them once we became serious, but I thought, why would I want to visit your apartment if her artwork is still there? This is another one of these, I guess we can say red flags. If you hear someone say this, immediately leave the relationship and leave the date. Someone telling you that they will only do something or set some sort of boundary if you guys are in a relationship means that that's not even really a boundary for them. It also, in a lot of cases, when I hear this, it makes me think you're a rebound. Still from that same girl. Because you should never be adopting the mindset, or when dating someone, you should never be adopting the mindset, oh, I'll stop talking to this person if we date. Oh, I'll stop doing this if we start dating. Oh, I'll stop whatever if we, no. That doesn't mean that you actually wanted to do that. It just means, oh, if we're in a relationship now, then I'll start setting some boundaries. Then I'll start whatever the case may be. And the fact that he's saying, oh, I'll take my ex's artwork down if we start dating. Well, are you actually over her, or do you still have a lot of love for her, or in fact are still in love with her? Because you shouldn't be taking your artwork down because we start dating. You should be taking it down because you've moved on from the relationship. And the art thing was not bad. It's very bad. When I opened his, and if the art thing is not bad, when I opened his closet door for the first time, we were in his living room doing things. A woman's shoe fell off from the shelf. He was embarrassed and said, yeah, when I moved out from our shared apartment, when we broke up, I just packed everything in a box and never unpacked them. They broke up almost a year ago at this point, or that's what he said. He threw away the shoe in front of me, but it took him a long time to get rid of the art. And I felt like he didn't want to do that because that's his art collection. Why did you even go on any more dates with him after this? I don't even what were you actually thinking at that time? I don't understand. When he finally gave the art away, as I suggested, why are you the one leading this? So you want advice, right, on how you should go about it in the future? Never, ever, ever ask a man to do anything for you. I know that sounds really weird. When you start dating a guy, do not ask him to do. He wants to hang paintings up of his ex on his wall. Perfect. Do you. Please show me all the rest of the paint. When you got to that house, instead of telling him, I'm uncomfortable, take these paintings down, you should have said, oh, please, sir, show me every other painting you have in this house. Do you have any drawings of her? Do you have any drawings with her? Any pictures with her that you still keep around? Any other mementos or items still around, right? The reason I'm saying this is because I want your delusion to break in that moment. And I want you to help yourself break that delusion so that you can really see how far the rabbit hole goes down. Because I guarantee you, if he's hanging up the paintings on his wall, there's a lot of other stuff he has hidden that you just don't know about, right? But I wish you would have just broken your illusion right then and there and said, oh, just show me the rest. I love the paintings. They're amazing. You have pictures, you have drawings, you have notes, you have anything else that you can show, clothing items, show me everything. That way you can know for yourself when you walk out of his house that day, you can know for yourself, yeah, I'm never going to speak to him again. There's not a chance that I will ever speak to that guy again, because you know in your heart, it makes no sense. I want the next time you go on a date and you start realizing these red flags, you encourage the guy to tell you more and more and more and more and more. Never tell him that you're uncomfortable with this. Never tell him you don't like this. Never tell him you want to change anything. In fact, encourage him and make him feel like you're on his side and you understand exactly why he did the things that he did, so that he'll be encouraged to show you and tell you more. Okay? Then when you hear all of the more, then you say, perfect. So glad you told me. I've realized we're not compatible, right? You say that after the date, right? When he finally gave the art away, as I suggested, he later regretted it and said he should have dropped the art off to B's door. This made me feel very bad and mad. And you still stayed. Was it appropriate for me to express discomfort right away? Absolutely not. In the future, do not express discomfort. In fact, encourage him to tell you more. What's the best way to handle a situation like this? Would saying, I'd rather not come to your apartment if you still have things from your ex? No. Be a response reasonable, or does that make me still seem bothered? No. I want you to go to the apartment. I want you to see the art on the wall. I want you to encourage him to show you every piece, every note, every drawing, so that you know for yourself you are an idiot if you continue a relationship with a guy who's clearly still in love with another woman. Do not force a man or try and get him to change for you. Understand the best thing for you to do is to learn the honest truth about who he really is and how he really thinks. Don't keep yourself in a delusion. Do not try and make a man who you want him to be. Okay? Never, ever try and turn him into who you want him to be. Let him show you who he is. That way, you basically force your own hand, where you're like, wow, I will literally be like such an idiot. Not that you are, but I want you to feel like you'd be an idiot if you stayed with the guy seeing all of this, right? It's the way to snap yourself out of it. Because when you don't see the things and when you don't get the information, then you feel like, well, maybe it's something else. Well, maybe it's just the art drawings and he just can't get them down and he didn't really try to keep them up. He wants to. No, let yourself feel the pain. When you feel the pain, you'll realize you need to move forward. I promise you, you'll be much better off feeling the pain in the first couple weeks, couple days, than being in a whole relationship with this guy. I have much more to say about this relationship, but I'll save it for the next time so you can help me analyze the points that I mentioned below. No, I didn't mean to say that was his ex when he first dismissed. He just called her a random girl, so that blindsided me. We were just having casual conversations, and he brought up one girl I later found out was actually A, but didn't know at the time. But he was already talking about her in the beginning of our relationship. So like I say, the main thing that you need to take from this is encourage men to talk and encourage them to be honest. And even when you start to notice things that you're uncomfortable about, ask follow-up questions and this is going to sound weird, but I want you to make it seem like you actually agree with them or agree with their perspective or their stance, right? So when he says, oh, I hang paintings up on the wall of my ex-girlfriend, you say, oh, that's amazing. What did she do? Like, she painted all of these specifically for you? Did she gift them to you? Did she draw anything else for you? Do you have an art book of hers? What other art pieces do you have in here, right? That you keep, right? It sounds very weird that you'd be encouraging him to show you this and talk about this, but the thing about it is it will help you know the truth instead of keeping you in a delusion. Because the two things happened here. One, he resented you for even returning the artwork, or sorry, I should say giving away the artwork that he wanted to keep because he loves that girl. That's the truth. He resents you for that, as weird as it sounds, even though it's not technically your fault. The other thing too is anytime the relationship's not working out, the first thing he'll be thinking is, damn, I gave away my good art from the girl that I love for this girl. And he's going to have such a nasty attitude towards you because it's almost like you came in between his love for another girl. Never, ever, ever be the girl who's coming between a man's love for a different girl. If you meet a man and you realize he's in love with or still has so much love for another woman, you go ahead and remove yourself from this situation. Don't be the girl trying to force a guy to love you when he's clearly in love with a different woman. Just don't. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your energy. Don't waste your everything. You'll be wasting so much doing that. Okay, that's the main thing you need to take away from this, all right? All right, let's go into the next ones here. All right. Okay, we have the seer Abdis. I've never Abids. Okay. Artist Crush. Hi, Tomisin. I stumbled upon your YouTube channel months ago, and I have been a casual listener ever since. I love your insight, practical advice, humor, and the passion you have for helping us navigate the dating world. To be honest, I love tuning in to Discord time the most because of some of the completely unhinged messages you receive. I am 40, and I have not been actively dating. In fact, it's probably been a couple years since my last date. I have a pretty full life. I have great friends, and I make plans with each week. I work in a corporate environment during the week. On weekends, I side gig as a spiritual life coach. You got a lot going on. I have a rich daily journaling practice, meditate, and I'm working towards getting certified as a yoga teacher. I'd eventually love to add an aligned romantic partner to the mix, but I do worry that I may become so hyper independent that I may subconsciously be pushing away opportunities to date. I rarely find myself interested enough in anyone to actually admit to having a crush, but that's exactly where I'm at right now. That's not a problem, right? If you can't force yourself to be interested in people. That's just not, it doesn't work like that. I have a crush on my tattoo artist. Okay. Here's what I know about him. 39, single, possibly recently single, has a teenage daughter. He's the primary caretaker of, is in a band, loves playing sports. What draws me to him the most at this point is his presence. He's got very smooth, steady, grounded, thoughtful way about him. It's calming. I'm a sucker for good energy. My question, how do I inspire this man to ask me out? We're only connected through IG. Wait, what? We're only connected through IG, and I don't have a reason to see him in person except for the fact that he asked to see my recent tattoo that he just completed once it's fully healed. He wants to see how well the different gradients of shading turned out. I bet he does. I should be fully healed within the next couple of weeks or so, for your information. So how do I go about this? I'm definitely not the type to ask a man out, and I have no plans on changing that. Any advice you can give, I greatly appreciate. Thank you. So honestly, my only piece of advice for you in this scenario is that when you finally do heal, you can obviously reach out to him, like he said, about like showing him the tattoo and things like that, which is related to, why you even started talking to him in the first place. So that's not a bad thing. And then from there, you can continue the conversation, if you want, like just kind of keep it ongoing. Oh yeah, so you were doing other tattoos. What would have been your, favorite ones, whatever the case may be. And then that's where you kind of have to read his energy, right? So let's go through it. You send him the pictures of your tattoo. You show him how it's shading and how it's healed and all that good stuff. He's obviously going to respond, oh, it looks great. I see the shadings a lot better and da-da-da-da. You're going to respond, da-da-da-da, have a conversation. And then you're just going to have to feel out. Does he seem like he wants to continue the conversation after this? Like have more conversation about tattoos or tattooing in general or anything like that? If he doesn't seem that inquisitive about you or asking you any questions or anything like that, then there's nothing for you to do there. I'll just be honest with you. Like you can't, if a guy's not, I know it's a little bit painful because for you as a woman, it kind of feels like, damn, what do I do if I like the guy, but he doesn't notice me? The reality of it is I just don't want you to do anything, because whenever you are the one saying, oh, I think you're really cute, let's go out on a date, it sets the wrong precedent. And then you'll find yourself frustrated down the line when he goes on the date or he's like, sure, I'll agree to the date. And then you're expecting, oh, but I wanted you to give me princess treatment. I wanted you to go over the top. And I'm not saying you would actually ask for that, but his mindset would be, why would I go over the top? You asked me out on a date. Why would I do the most? You're the one that asked me out on a date. And it just sets the wrong foundation to build off of. It's very difficult to build off of it properly that way. So the best thing you can do in this scenario is show him your tattoo, have conversation with him, see if he's reciprocating energy and seeming like he's interested in having ongoing conversation or just keeping the conversation going. If he just reads your message one time, or he doesn't reply or seems very uninterested, or just really just honestly wanted to see the tattoo and then move on, you have to accept the reality that he probably wasn't that interested. And despite the fact that you feel like, you know, you guys vibe or whatever the case may be, you can't do anything with a guy who is showing you that he's not that interested, right? Because like you said, what are you going to do? Ask for as many tattoos as possible so you can talk to him as much as possible? Nah, like, I don't want you doing that. Okay. I just don't want you doing that. Now, obviously you guys follow each other on IG. So I'm sure if you're posting things of yourself, if you're also noticing that when you post of yourself, he's replying to your stories and he seems to be trying to have conversation with you, that is at least him showing some interest. But if he doesn't hit you up on IG, when you post, he doesn't respond to any of your stories, he doesn't seem to be interested in carrying out a conversation with you, you have to realize that probably means he's not that interested. And if that's the case, you just have to accept that as the truth. I know that sucks, but there's nothing more for you to do as a woman if a guy's showing you he doesn't really seem to be that interested. I get it, he's single. I get it, he seems like he's open for a relationship, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he has to, you know, be pursuing you. And if he's not doing that or not showing you he has a desire to do that, you have to accept that, right? All right, let's go on to our next question. Just another user says, please help me. I'm crying my eyes out and losing my mind. Okay. Hello. I am sorry for being here again. Prosilis? You mean say, is that promise in a different language? I don't know what that means. It's the last time, but I beg you, I think you meant to say, I'm losing my mind. I've been seeing a man since October. He's caring, consistent, showers me with flowers, takes me out to dinner, surprises me. Everything seemed perfect. After a few dates, he asked if I would be his girlfriend. I wasn't ready, so I told him I needed more time. Despite that, I felt that our relationship was developing in a good direction. Regular meetings, closeness, conversation, and increasing commitment. During one of our recent meetings, the atmosphere was exceptionally intimate. The kisses became more passionate. There was more physical touch. It felt like a natural progression in our relationship. I felt ready for that, but not for anything more. At that moment, we started talking about his Instagram and the people he follows. I told him that it surprised me a bit that I wasn't entirely comfortable with it. He said he understood and could change it, but had been doing it from the perspective of a single man. He added that since we weren't officially in a relationship, he didn't feel the need to change it before. That's when I asked, so we're not together? Why is there major confusion? And then I heard that he thought we weren't. That after our first conversation about being a couple, when he first asked and I said I wasn't ready and needed more time, but then in later conversations, we decided to give it a chance. Wait, what? He assumed we were still in an undefined phase. If there's not a specific conversation of, hey, will you be my girlfriend? Yes, I'll be your girlfriend. Then I don't think that it's fair for there to be an assumption, right? After a few days of no contact, he finally called, but he had no plans for Valentine's Day. He asked if I had plans for the weekend. I said I did, and he was surprised. Why without me? I told him, I think you're just recapping. I told him plainly, you didn't propose anything, so I didn't know what's going on. I added if he wanted to meet, he could let me know. I wished him good night and ended the conversation. After everything that happened, the unclear status of our relationship, Valentine's Day, we were supposed to go to Paris, and my doubts, we met to talk things through. So then your kind of continuation, okay, so now you guys actually meet to talk. He said he sees, I think they say us as a couple, and he only said it because he was mad. Fair. He said he would like me to show more interest in him. Don't do that. That he enjoys spoiling me, giving me flowers and gifts, but he'd also like me to call him sometimes and not just the other way around. Say, okay, I get it. I understand. I hear you. I hear how you feel, and don't do that. He suggested that it would have been nice if I also had given him a gift for Valentine's Day. How long have you guys been dating? I mean, technically Valentine's Day is for both of you, but you should have only done that if he was actually doing something for you. He explained that he never actually thought we weren't together. He only said that because he was upset that I didn't want more physical intimacy and felt rejected. I explained my perspective and he said that he understood, but from the beginning, he knew I was a woman he had to put more effort into. Exactly why I say don't do any of the things he's asking you for, like calling him more or texting him more. Don't do that. He added that he's ready for the next steps. He wants me to meet his friends and family and for us to travel together and plan for the future. But he's not sure if I'm as invested as he is. The atmosphere, so this is a trap here. Don't fall for this trap, okay? The atmosphere was great. I was at his place and felt good. A small detail touched me. We once joked that he didn't have any mugs, and I love tea, so he always served it in a glass. Now, when I arrived, he had 2 mugs, a pink one for me and a black one for himself. So I want you to see something very important, just another user and all the rest of you. Guys will ask you for certain things, but it's funny. He's saying, I wish you would show me more interest. I wish you would do this for me. I wish you would do that for me. But it's funny. Even though he's asking for all those things, realize, just another user, how doing what you've been doing, where that's gotten you in terms of his treatment towards you. So I know it sounds very diabolical, but when you do this, when you do nothing with men, even though they'll ask you for more, they still end up doing the most for you. Ironically, if you actually listen to him, start calling him and texting him more and doing all this stuff for him, he will stop doing a lot of this stuff for you. It's just the way it works. Right? Isn't that quite ironic? Is exactly why I say listen to him, make him feel like he's being heard by you, you understand where he's coming from, and just keep doing the same thing. Because clearly what you've been doing is working to a certain extent. While I was at his place, I noticed a pink card on the dresser that wasn't there before. At first, I thought it was for me, but he quickly tried to cover it up. I asked if he wanted to tell me about it. He said it was a card from a coworker, but it was nothing important, and that I also have admirers. So he's saying he has an admirer at work? Something to ask more questions about. I know I shouldn't worry about some coworker, but his reaction unsettled me. If it truly was nothing, why would he hide it? Shouldn't he have told me right away? I'm starting to wonder if this person was at his place on Valentine's Day. Fair question. After our last meeting on Sunday, on Tuesday, we talked on the phone. It was a nice conversation, and he suggested that since we didn't have Valentine's Day together, we could go on a weekend trip to a spa to have dinner. And everything would have been great, but during the conversation, I found out that he's flying to Thailand in March for 2.5 weeks. Wait a second. Didn't we just have someone in our last question go to Thailand? He mentioned it before, but I thought it was still uncertain. He told me he'd like me to go with him to Thailand, okay? But I can't take such a long leave. Wait a second. What? Didn't we already do it? Wait. Sorry. Studying full-time, working a full job, so I could leave for a week. Okay. And now the worst part, it turns out the trip includes the day of my birthday. I was speechless. I hung up. My birthday is so important to me. I think you're recapping a lot of stuff that we've seen. When I'd want to be with him, want him to be with me, to plan something, to show that it matters to him. And he just decided to go to Thailand and won't be there. He knew the date and chose to travel that day anyways. I felt like I'm not important to him, which completely contradicts everything he said and did before. All the talk about planning the future, traveling, and meeting friends. He still hasn't removed those women from his following list. On Valentine's Day, not only did he not organize anything for me, but I also saw that he liked photos of other women who received flowers and gifts. I got nothing because we were in conflict and ultimately didn't meet. Okay. Okay, let's I want to see what your question is because I seen some of this stuff that you said here before. Um okay, so let's go down here. So you might want to stretch before that part. So the day, almost a week, I think I'm gonna say, had been no contact. I did everything you said in your videos. However, the one thing I missed, you see, sometimes I make stupid videos online, on TikTok and Instagram. I think you meant to say he never watched it before. I usually have videos planned before. So on Saturday, the day before, I added a video as usual, and I didn't think about it until he liked it. It said, it's girl math to lose one guy and add, I think you meant to say add and gain 4. So your video said it's girl math to lose one guy and gain 4, basically. It's stupid as that it looks like I did it on purpose and don't know what is worse. So this is you in the video. What? I saw yesterday from my other account, don't judge me after what I just said. He went to the spa. We were talking about what? By himself. We are still in no contact. Should I wait? I'm confused here. I don't even understand. I'm a little bit confused here. Okay, you're gonna need to just another user. I need you to reorganize your question because I'm very confused. What is going on here? I don't understand. You're kind of losing me here. I don't understand like what's happening here because you're kind of all over the place. We are still in no contact. Should I break up? I don't know. I'm crying in my bedroom. I have work this morning. I'm lost. Chat. We need you. Just another user. We need you to restructure a question. Just give me the relevant information to your question. Okay. It's not that I don't want to read this stuff, but you have said some things that we kind of went through before. You just state the points that are relevant and then ask the question that you want answered. Because I'm still a little bit confused what question you specifically want answered here, right? And what situation you're trying to deal with now, okay? So keep it focused on your question and just restructure it, okay? Just summarize it so it's a little shorter, more concise to the point of what you actually want answered and what specific situation is confusing for you. I think that you wrote this in a really emotional state, and so I feel like you didn't read it over to make sure it makes sense. You're just going and going and going because I'm not really understanding where we're going. Unless chat you're following, I lost it a little bit here. Yeah. That he still treats me with affection. Yeah, you lost me a bit here. Yeah, you're gonna have to reorganize this. Just another user, and then tomorrow not tomorrow, on Thursday we'll reconvene. Okay, and we'll have conversation about this again. All right, chat. I have to go. I have to run. I have an appointment I have to get to. So that's the show for today. I'll be back again on Thursday to answer a lot of your questions here, whether it be in the free section, in the premium section, or the private relationship advice section. I will be here and answering all of your amazing questions. Okay. For those of you who are watching the show and you want to on TikTok and you want to rewatch the show from start to finish, it's available on my YouTube page. Just go up on top, type in Tomisin, just type in my first name, Tomisin, and you can go to my YouTube page and you can go to the live section and rewatch all of the things that we talked about, topics we talked about, questions that we answered on today's show. Okay. For those of you who want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is just above my head on the top left corner of the screen. If you're watching on YouTube, it's also in the description. If you're watching on YouTube, you're watching on TikTok, it's also in the description. If you're watching me on YouTube, just go there at the bottom. You'll see it there. For those of you who are wondering what time I'm live every Monday and Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm also, chat, we'll keep this a secret. The video I'm posting tomorrow on YouTube, we're not going to talk about this ever again. So the video I'm going to post tomorrow, Don't ask me no questions about it in future shows. The reason I'm posting it just as a video, it's not going to be a live stream. I'm posting it tomorrow. It's going to have a wild title. Okay. Just be aware of that. So when you see it pop up on your recommendation, on your notifications, if you have my notifications on YouTube, it's going to have a weird title and you're going to be a little bit shocked at the title. When you watch the video, just watch it. Don't talk to me about it. Don't ask me no questions about it. Don't share it with nobody. Just watch it. It's our little secret video that I'm just going to share with you. Don't worry about that. All right. That video is going to go live tomorrow at noon Eastern time. So 12 p.m. Eastern time. Yeah. So be on the lookout for that. Okay. Very, I'll just say intimate video that I'm going to be posting tomorrow. Okay. All right. For those of you who want to catch me live again, I'll be live again on Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until we meet again, I bid you adieu. Hasta la vista, sayonara, ciao, salam, baoni, adios, arrivederci, au revoir. I think I said au revoir already. Bon voyage, and I'll see you again on Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, I love you so much.